Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Definitely not ready. Too bad. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is 4Player Podcast, episode 567. My name is Nick Henderson. I am joined to my right by Brad Simons.
What up, groovy dude?
Nolan Hedstrom.
Hey.
And Christopher Guthridge.
Hello. What's going on? Are we doing a fucking podcast or what, guys?
We are doing a fucking podcast. And you know what? It is the month of August here at 4PlayerNetwork.com. It is still 1998 month. If you're watching us live, we have all kinds of groovy colors. Okay, sorry, we only have two groovy colors on screen.
70s, dude.
Yeah, that's the joke.
We have radical.
Yeah.
Really?
Colors.
Oh yeah. I don't
Tubular.
I don't know my time periods
Shouldn't
very well.
it have been like pink and green? Wasn't that like a big thing?
Okay, here's what I did. Here's literally what I did. I Googled 90s.
Oh,
And the first thing that I saw that popped up that was like just a weird, wacky neon pattern, I copied those colors.
Well, aren't you a
Boom.
carpetbagger?
You should just
Boom.
look at the opening credits to Saved by the Bell and done exactly that.
There you go.
You ragamuffin.
I'm sorry, guys. You're lucky you got what you got. Okay.
Yeah.
What is... I'm not accepting that. I don't feel lucky, but I do appreciate it. Don't think luck's a part of it.
You guys
I don't know if
suck.
appreciate's the right word.
You guys suck. Anyways, it is still 1998 month here at 4PlayerNetwork.com. As of course, we are playing and talking about nothing but games that came out in the year of 1998. It's been 20 years since that pretty I don't want to call it historic, but you know, what's a good word?
In the
Whoa, it's bright when you take the sunglasses off. Whoa.
That's why we're wearing them inside.
Is it always this bright?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Put them back on,
My
Brad.
future's so bright.
We're all
I
wearing
have
sunglasses
shades.
right now. Anyways, of course, 1998. It's been 20 years since that pretty momentous year. It was a pretty amazing year for games. So we've been playing nothing but games that came out that year, and we're gonna be talking about those throughout this show. Also, in the second half, like last week we did a PlayStation 1 retrospective, kind of just a general discussion about the platform because the original PlayStation came out. Not in 1998, but it was kind of at the top of its, the peak of its existence during that year. We're going to be doing something similar in the second half of this show, but we're going to be talking about the Nintendo 64 and all of our memories of that platform. So stick around for that.
Whoa.
What?
Does that say Ric Flair was one of the 50 most beautiful people in 1998? That can't be right.
That's crazy.
Should I read that?
That can't be right.
Oh my God.
The second most beautiful person in 1998 was Ric Flair.
That's hard to believe.
Wait, the third place winner was Leonardo DiCaprio?
Wasn't he like 12?
Wait, Ric
he
Flair?
was still like a child.
Oh
You
my
shouldn't
God.
be calling children beautiful.
The 90s was a weird time. Anyways, thank you guys. We do a live show here at 4PlayerNetwork.com. You can watch us record these shows every Thursday night at 8 p.m. or roughly somewhere around that time on twitch.tv/4playerpodcast.
I think
or
the best time to
4PP.tv.
say would be sometime after 8 p.m.
Sometime after 8 p.m. We were live at 8, even though
No, I know. I'm just saying.
even though it's a good 40 minutes since then and we were finally recording. We were live pretty much right at 8. So, of course, thank you to everybody who's watching us live and
This is
listening
not
around the
right.
world. What?
This is not right.
What?
The whole Ric Flair thing doesn't make sense.
Do you have something to share, Brad?
How old is Ric Flair?
Are you asking your phone?
Why don't you just...
Beep boop, beep boop.
69 years old.
Nice.
So he'd be 49
Nice.
in 1998?
Yes.
And he was the second most beautiful people?
Hey, man.
They said beautiful, not handsome.
You know,
Maybe they were referring to his
So
soul.
I-
the
some-
flowing
definitely
alabaster
not a
locks.
maybe he just aged really, really gracefully.
No.
Maybe he just
He looks
had-
terrible.
Maybe he just had a lot of flair.
Can somebody pull up a picture of Ric Flair?
20 years ago, though, he might have still been all bronzy and toned and had like that beautiful coif of
Here he is
white
now.
alabaster
Oh yeah,
hair.
no, that's there's no ways. Somebody type in Ric Flair 1998. I bet you'll
I
find
did Ric
some
Flair
pictures.
90s.
But I didn't think 98 was like his prime or anything. So why? You know what?
We need to move on.
Yeah, we
We've
need
got
to
to
move
move
on.
on. Anyways, before we get started, before we get to feedback and all stuff, there's a couple things I want to cover. One If you are really, is that him from the 90s? No, that is not beautiful people material. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ric Flair is really fancy.
It's also internet democracy.
Oh my god,
Dude, remember he used to walk around in those big capes with like the the feathery collars to him and everything.
DTH in chat says, this is generally an audio show, but that's like up to speculation anyways, right? Who knows how many people download this show?
Well, actually, I do.
Oh.
It's funny you bring that up. You know why? I wanted to announce this tonight.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe it's less than watch it live every week.
So here's the thing. We've been kind of floating around different hosts and whatnot ever since we started for hosting our show and whatnot, and we finally have kind of settled on a new. We've successfully migrated hosts to a new service, and we have finished the migration as of today. And also, as of today, 4Player Podcast is now available on Spotify, which I think is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So if you happen to use Spotify quite regularly, you can find us on Spotify by just searching for 4Player Podcast. Also, we're kind of wrangling in some of the other services that we used to be on, but we didn't have much control over, right? So things like Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, all that kind of stuff. We are slowly wrangling that in. I think I even have SoundCloud fixed. So starting with this episode, we should have found SoundCloud updating correctly when all that happens. So I think that's kind of a big deal, guys. And here's another just kind of a benefit to you guys. We're no longer running ads on the show. So starting now, no ads on the show. You don't have to endure a random ad at the beginning and end of every show.
Stop selling out.
I know. But we hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys. Also, you know what?
Out. We didn't make money from those ads.
I mean, we made some, not a whole lot, but
Which kind of makes it worse.
I mean, here's the thing. You said that we don't know how many people listen to the show, but I definitely have a better idea of how many people listen to the show now because of our new host has a whole kinds of stats and stuff I can look at, which is great.
Tens of you.
No, there's definitely more than that. I think you'd be surprised, Brad. I think you would be legitimately surprised.
Sorry, audio.
I will show you the numbers during the break.
Sorry, audio only listeners.
We have a lot of people that listen on the show, and like I said, if you guys listen on the show, or if you listen to the show exclusively, you don't ever watch us live or whatever, I would love to hear from you guys. You can email me at nick@4playernetwork.com. You can leave us a comment on the posts. I'd love to hear from you. Especially, you know what? Now that we're on Spotify, if you were listening to the show for the first time and you found us through Spotify randomly, let us know. Email me at nick@4playernetwork.com or head on over to 4playernetwork.com. Drop us a comment. Let me know. I'm just curious. I'm just genuinely curious.
You got a Spotify app right on your PS4.
You're right.
Damn.
Yeah,
Maybe the
you're right.
Xbox too.
Danish
if you can
Impact in
find it.
chat is watching us right now. Says this is my first time watching live. So that's pretty cool. Welcome, Danish Impact.
Hopefully we make an impact on your life.
Hopefully we do. So anyways, yeah, that's kind of a big deal. I just wanted to go and get that out there. Also, of course, I mention this every week. We are on Discord. Discord has been one of the biggest things to happen to our community ever. So if you enjoy listening to the show and you want to be a more active part of the community, kind of at your leisure, Discord is the place to be. Just download the app on your phone. You can jump in there and talk to us. You can talk to members of the community whenever you want about whatever. We have all kinds of conversations and fun stuff happening there all the time. Also, thank you to Kpix in chat for just subscribing to us on Twitch with Twitch Prime. We appreciate it. So yeah, enough about that. I want to read some feedback from last week's show. Of which we had a lot. I do also want to announce the winner of our giveaway for July.
These are polarized. I gotta take these off.
Oh, you're having trouble?
Yeah.
No more glasses for Brad. Sorry. Anyways,
Can I? What do you mean polarized? What are you seeing that I'm not seeing?
They're polarized.
make sure you take off your current glasses before putting on the new ones, Nolan.
I can't tell.
What the fuck?
Now it's definitely polarized.
It means it gives you a headache if you try to read your phone while wearing them.
Oh, interesting. Anyways, like I said, I'm going to read some feedback from our last episode, which was also 1998 focused. But before I do that, I want to announce the winner for July. We do a monthly game giveaway. All you have to do to enter your name in the giveaway is drop us some feedback, interact with the show. After every episode, we enter your name that way. If you retweet the podcast every week when we put that out there, that enters you as well. But our winner for the month of July is Equack. Equack is our winner. I don't know if he's watching live. I don't think he is. I don't think I see him watching live very often. But he left us a comment on one of our episodes in July. Thank you very much for doing so. We will be reaching out to you. You can pick any game of your choosing up to a $60 value, and we will send it to you for your enjoyment. So, Nolan, you have that figured out there yet?
Well, no, like when I rotate it, when I'm looking at it like this, I can see it. But when I rotate it, it fucking goes like black.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could do some weird things.
Whoa, that's cool.
Anyways, let's get to feedback. There's a lot of feedback from last week.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, first comment.
Nexass X.
Nexass X
Says, speaking of classic franchises,
Brad's doing this apparently.
Fatal Frame?
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, you're assuming. Final Fantasy is an all-time favorite of mine, especially Fatal Frame 8.
I think that confirms it's Final Fantasy.
Which was my first one.
Me too.
Like Nolan, I could basically recount the first disc on the game all the way through to the end and still find time to play through it at least once each year.
Oh, wow.
You know what? I've been really wanting to go back and revisit, especially 8 and 9. I've played 7 a shit ton. I've played everything past 10 quite a few times, but I haven't revisited 8 and 9 recently. And both of those games I do adore.
Dude, in 8 you get like a little fucking convertible. You
I'm
drive
always-
around the fucking
I know.
world
I'm always
on.
just so bitter about 8 because of that last disc and they lock you out of all the locations.
There's a fucking boss fight that you have to be fucking floating the whole fight because they keep doing earthquake attacks.
Yeah, I remember
And there's 2
that.
fucking Minotaur brothers and one's all tiny.
Oh, is that the one where you're in the maze?
Yeah, maze.
Ooh, I love that game.
Yeah,
I do
dude,
love
You know
that
what I
game.
remember
so
about
good.
Final Fantasy VIII? Being on critical health for my entire party the entire game and just doing limit breaks every
Limit breaks
turn.
over and over. Yeah, that was one kind of, I don't want to say crux, but that was one kind of oversight that if as long as you were below whatever percentage health, you
Yeah.
could constantly do limit breaks.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? We're
Little
gonna try
broken.
something new this week. Nolan, why don't you read the next comment?
Oh shit! I gotta take my glasses off. I literally can't read with them on, which is
if you
usually
can,
the
in
opposite
fact,
of
read
what
it,
glasses
please,
do.
Please read it.
The conversation about medieval.
This is from Tobly.
Oh, sorry.
Medieval.
Yes, thank you, Tobly. Medieval. How do you say it?
Medieval.
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 Made me think about how that. Oh
my God.
Hold on. I'm just getting a little bit closer. How that one of those franchises that solidified in my mind. Okay,
Oh!
thanks. That messed me up even more. Solidified in my mind, despite having relatively few titles and the gameplay not an experience I would care to repeat. Now,
I agree.
Final Fantasy VIII is a title that is stuck in my mind for an entire different reason. It's one of my least favorite, you son of a bitch, favorite entries in the series. A brooding game about mopey characters who complain about losing their memories.
First of all, if you
Tobly.
lost your memories,
Whatever.
first of all, if you lost your memories, wouldn't you be complaining about it as well?
I probably would be.
And two,
What if you didn't remember?
Oh.
you know what? Final Fantasy VIII is like such a bright and vibrant game in comparison to like Final Fantasy VII. I don't know.
I don't know if
So
that's
I
bright and
think
vibrant.
I think the
Nine's
scale.
the bright and vibrant
I think the
one.
scale of it.
No.
So in 7, it's oh my god, the world's ending. Whereas in 8, it's like oh they're trying to take over our school or whatever. And it seems like in 8, yes, while there is like the resistance, the Timberlands, what are they called? The Timberwolves.
Oh god.
Whatever that group the resistance is.
Yeah.
You know, fighting against Queen. What's her face?
Edea.
I have horrible memory.
I remember the gardens, Balam Garden, Galbadia Gardens.
Yeah. And so, like, I will say that on the big scale, yes, there's turmoil going on, but on the smaller scale, like the towns you go to, it's a little bit brighter. You know, you go to Fisherman's like Wharf or whatever, and then you go to like the little town with the radio or the TV station or whatever. And I do feel like there is some. It's not all complete brooding, but yes, I do agree with you. And that's honestly my least favorite part of the game is like Squall. I hate he's so fucking. Like, just, yeah, I agree, mopey. But I try to latch onto the other characters, like Renoa. She's, like, so fucking happy, and same with, what's
And
her
she's
face?
trying to make him come out of his mopey shell.
Selfie. Just constantly happy. Zell's the fucking... Like, look, there's all these fucking happy characters, and then there's 2 fucking mopey guys.
And then there's his teacher that's...
Quistis?
Quistis, yeah.
Yeah.
Keistis?
Quistis.
Let me ask
Yeah,
you
you guys
guys.
pronounce all
Let
this
me
shit
ask you
weird.
guys. Are y'all Cipher or Cipher?
Cypher.
Cipher.
I mean, I was always a Cipher guy, but when they started talking, like in Kingdom Hearts 1,
So that's
it became
Isn't it spelled
Cipher.
S-E-I-F?
So that's the thing.
It's Cipher.
Cipher.
And Titus.
And, fuck you.
Well, that's
Titus,
because
I don't-
somebody that was working
Titus
on
I
that
don't agree
game...
with, but...
The thing is...
Someone was trolling people in that game.
No, it's just one of those situations where older games, when people didn't physically say their names of words and stuff, you had to just go with what you read. And when you read it the, quote, wrong way, it just gets stuck in your mind that way. And so that's how it is the rest of your life.
And then it becomes Balam Garden. What
Yeah.
the fuck is
Wait,
that?
what?
The main
Wait,
character
how-
of
wait,
Final
wait.
Fantasy V
Wait a
is
second.
named Butts.
You shut your fucking mouth. How would you say it?
Balam?
No, it's Balam.
Balam Garden.
I will fight you.
I think
to
it's
the death.
Balam.
Anyways, the point of this is Toby is wrong. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Crispy, would you like to read the next comment?
Real quick,
Can you read it?
Can I just say that, like,
Love
I
you,
feel like
Toby.
Final Fantasy VII gets a bad rap, and it's kind of like oppressive,
Hold
like
on.
atmosphere is one of the
No,
best
no
parts
one
about
said
that
it's
movie.
bad. We all said
7
it's
or
good.
8? You just said 7.
Oh no!
I'm feeling like the character's attitude.
Brad, I have a fucking video of the entire game.
Final Fantasy 7 gets a bad rap for being oppressive.
No.
No, like dark and edgy, but
No, I think
But,
I
like-
think it's weird that in this case he's using it as a
I thought
means
we were
to
talking
bash.
about Final Fantasy 8.
we were.
How great
Oh,
it is.
oh,
The problem,
Yeah.
the
It was
problem
an
is
aside.
the problem is here he's using it as like a negative for Final Fantasy 8 when he didn't say anything about Final Fantasy 7, which in my opinion was much darker, much broodier than Final Fantasy 8.
But it fit that world.
It
better.
fit that world. I mean, but like
Like the main theme of that game is very like
we could talk about this for an
Depressing.
entire podcast, and I'd
guys-
rather not.
You
Crispy,
guys are
would you like to
crazy.
read the next comment?
You guys are crazy.
You putting
Sure,
on
is-
different glasses?
Are these they?
Are these they?
Can you read it from that angle?
Yeah.
Love you, Crispy.
Live at the Milky Way says, "Hey guys, I keep trying to remember to leave feedback, but my mind is a whirlwind these days. Last time I left feedback, you addressed my comments thoroughly, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'm liking the 1998 month idea, and I think there are other years that could be deserving of a month as well. You can make an argument for any year from 99 to 04. A lot of great influential games in that span. I noticed my favorite 98 game of all time, Crash Bandicoot Warped, is not on the calendar. No hard feelings. By the way, has anyone ever told Brad he looks like Gene Simmons' yearbook photo?
Yes, but let's look at it again because it never gets fucking
Never.
old.
maybe when I was a little thinner.
I'm fairly certain that Brad has a photo of him dressed up like
Jeez.
Gene Simmons.
Yeah, I did
and
that for Halloween
Yeah.
one year.
Holy shit, that is the best.
That actually is Brad.
I remember. No, we literally had a podcast like probably 2 years ago or more when someone did
2
this.
years ago. That was like 5 years ago.
Did
Nick.
it all blurs
That was like a
together.
long time ago.
But like somebody brought that up and we were laughing for like an hour at that.
Bring up a current picture of him.
Brad, this is what
God.
you're going to look like in the future.
I mean, I'm getting there. I'm fucking getting there.
Oh my goodness, that's too funny. But yeah,
is that Tommy Wiseau?
I am sorry. I am sorry. Wait, let's see it, Chris Dave.
Oh, Jesus.
That's
it
your
doesn't-
future, Brad.
I don't think it quite looks like Brad anymore.
That's your future. Well, obviously it didn't look like Brad anymore.
I know.
That was when Gene Simmons was younger, like when Brad was younger. But that's Brad's future.
This is what Brad's gonna look like. If you're gonna grow your hair out like that, Brad.
Mhm.
You're gonna grow your. Okay, Brad's not listening. Brad is checked out. Anyways, as far as other years between 99 and 04, who knows? Who knows? We may do more. The thing is, we can't do like more than one.
What year did Final Fantasy VIII come out?
99, I think.
Well, we got to do one next year.
I mean, here's the thing: we can never do more than one of these.
I will
months
say
in-
that a year that's almost as good as 1998 is 2001.
2001 was good.
But like, there's no way we can do more than one of these themed months in
a year? Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's how time works. Nick.
No, but I mean, like, we can't do next month. We can't do 99 month.
No,
because,
he's saying that next year you would do 99 month next. And
and
yeah.
maybe we fucking will. Anyways, moving on. Optio 98 says 1998 month is really fun for me since it's the year I was born. Playing Medieval with my sister is one of my first video game memories. So hearing you guys talk about that, it really brought me back. Thanks for the podcast. You're very welcome.
How does that
Oh
make
my
you
God.
feel, Brad?
That makes him 20 years old.
What?
That he was born and when you were
One of
just
our
getting out
listeners-
of college.
No. I was.
For a second, I had to think
I had
about
been
that.
out of college for a couple.
I
of
really
years.
had to
Oh,
think
okay,
about
sorry.
that for a second. Thank you, Optio.
In 98?
No.
Dude, I'm fucking around. Brad was what you were.
Brad,
you
read
were,
that.
We joke so much about like how old you are versus
And I'm not
like,
that much older.
He was still getting
I
his
know,
PhD.
and that's why it's like confusing. And that's why like I'm concerned.
It's why I never. That's why I think I actually don't know how old you are, Brad. Like,
Listen, man, you're the fucking child, Nick. Dave's older than me.
Oh my God! I didn't tell y'all the best part. The guy who was leading my my training today. Swear to fucking God, it was Bobby Moynihan.
Who's that?
Who? What?
Wait, how do y'all not know who Bobby Moynihan?
Why
is?
am I-
Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
I might know.
Wait,
that.
what was it? Wait, who?
Or it could have also been Tim Schafer.
What? They look similar? No, I definitely don't know.
All
who
right,
Bobby
Brad, read the
Moynihan
next
is.
comment.
I mean,
Thank you, Chris Davis,
kind of.
for streaming Body Harvest.
Wait,
I've known
looks
about
like-
that.
Y'all are really bad at this.
Oh, this is from Moo.
Well, Nick, we're bad at it because we don't do it often. Does that not look like Tim Schafer or Bobby Moynihan?
Well, I know the guy from Saturday Night Live you're talking about, but don't insult Tim Schafer.
yeah, I think it looks more like Bobby Moynihan than Tim Schafer.
Anyway,
Thank you,
agree.
Chris Davis, for Moo asks or responds. Thank you, Chris Davis, for streaming Body Harvest. I've known about that game for years, but I've never tried it out. In fact, I think this may be the first time. This may have been my first time seeing it played. I've decided to.
Try it out.
Oh, he looked at me weird.
What? No, I'm looking
He
at
looked
you.
at me weird.
Just keep reading.
I'm
I
just looking.
I decided to try it out, and I'm enjoying it. I wonder if I was trying it out. I'm not very far, but I plan on playing more soon. Loving 1998 months so far. Keep up the great work, guys. Body Harvest. You know Body Harvest is made by people who make Grand Theft Auto?
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like an open world game. You can jack vehicles. Yeah.
What? Really?
Yeah.
I should play this game.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. All right, here you heard it here first. All right, thank you, Moo. Next comment. We have a few more.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Nick, just read this.
Okay, I'm just gonna read them.
No, fuck
Okay.
you.
What
Ponzi?
have I done?
Ponzi?
Ponzi.
P0NZ? It's awesome to hear that Nolan is working his way through Fallout 2. Thank you very much. I first played it, them. I first played them. Okay.
I think it's about Fallout 1 and 2.
He didn't say one. I first played them in 2013, and it took a bit to get used to the crazy UI, especially having to use different cursors to do different things.
Is that true?
Yes, you have to right click or left click, and you have to when you right click, it switches between types of interactions. It gets weird to get used to.
Oh my god.
Different things, and how difficult combat is in the beginning. But I have a soft spot in my heart for both of the originals after completing them. Plus, given that New Vegas was developed by many of the same people working at Obsidian, I think it's interesting to see how similar tones and RPG mechanics were handled in a different era. I also agree with Brad about Soul Calibur 6, but I'll add that
6?
that's what he said. That I really hope the single-player content has meat to it this time around. I know that's not reasonable to want in most fighting games, but Soul Calibur has traditionally had a larger focus on that stuff, save for most recent entry.
It's true. I mean, Soul Calibur's always had great single player, and I love when a fighting game has great single player because, not everybody has time and people to play fighting games with.
So Ponzi, Fallout 2, we're actually going to talk about more of that today. So hopefully you're listening because you're going to hear more of my opinions on it.
I do like his one thing he said specifically about like seeing how different eras handle similar tones and genre. Like that Fallout's a cool experiment in that I think Resident Evil is also another cool experiment. Like we've seen that series change pretty dramatically from year to year.
Yeah.
Thank you for the comment. Crispy, would you care to read Pioche?
He dropped his glasses, so I don't know if he
Pioche. I can read. I got it. Pioche says,
Should I read this?
hearing Nolan's thoughts on Fallout 2 reminds me of when I tried playing Persona 1 after finishing 3 and 4. It was a jump from what I was used to, and the game didn't really explain much. My only saving grace was the instruction manual, which was admittedly a dry read. Still, it's interesting to try out an older title in a loved series to see how it all started.
Yep, absolutely. That's kind of the spirit of this month, right?
Yeah. Dude, I'm glad it's happening. Honestly, if we didn't do this month, I doubt I would be playing Fallout 2.
Absolutely. Fuzzy Turd says, I'd like to thank Brad for naming me Chatter of the Week for the second time last week. I appreciate it. I'd like to say that I really enjoyed hearing your tales of nostalgia, such as Brad gushing about his saltwater taffy and Hoop and
Stick.
Hoop and a Stick. I've loved this podcast for how varying your tastes are. Hearing the origins of your passion for games was great. Well, thank you. We appreciate the kind words. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode just as much as last week. Brad, take us home.
Dr. Gonzo 2 says, I love Fallout 1 and 2 the most.
The
most.
I think he means more than the modern Fallout games.
More than the modern Fallout games, even though they're still great. Wait. No, see, that doesn't make
even
sense.
so, the new ones are
He
still
loves
great.
Fallout 1 and 2 more than the modern Fallout games, even though those are still great.
Those are still great. Okay.
Badly written sentence.
Sorry. It makes me wish they'd make a modern isometric tactical Fallout game for current gen, since it's been a thing since XCOM. Well, I mean,
there's other games.
Wasteland 2
2
is that,
a good example.
and Wasteland 3 is coming.
Yeah.
But I also hear every time I hear that game come up, I feel like some people just tell me it's not great.
No.
It depends on Wasteland.
Listen, Wasteland 2 is fairly well received. So don't. I mean, you might know someone who doesn't like it, but it is a
really
fairly well
dense
received video
game.
Nick,
game.
it could be similar to me how when I first started playing Fallout 2, like, I wanted to fucking kill myself. And that's kind of how it was when I first started playing Wasteland 2. And maybe if I'd given it more time, I might have...
Would you like to give us Would you like to give us an update? Sorry, I was
going to do an even smoother transition, but go ahead.
By all means, go ahead.
So are you coming around on it?
I don't remember all the... Where was I last week? I was shitting on it, right?
No. It started. We were kind of. It sounded at first kind of like you were negative about it, but it turned into a pretty positive conversation. I know this because I listened to that episode last week, even though I had just recorded it.
Okay, cool. So I will say, in regards to Fallout 2, holy shit, I'm fucking loving it now.
Okay, wonderful.
Dude, I have fucking just done a complete 180 from the first time. The first time I broadcasted this, I fucking hated it. I literally was like, why the fuck am I playing this game? And now I'm just enjoying the shit out of it. So don't get me wrong, it's still not perfect. It still has little quirks here and there, and like it was mentioned earlier, it does get frustrating. And you have to, there is a like kind of movement cursor, so you right click and then there's like a thing, and this is all about movement now and inspecting things, and there's another one that is all about interacting with things, and so right clicking to switch between those two. And so what Recipe and some other people are saying is I did have a moment last week on the feed that was very frustrating. So what happened was I went up to a guy and he was like, oh, hey, I need your help, man. I need my radio. And I'm like, oh, shit, I remember. I got that. I picked it up at the place. So here, let me give it to you. And I was like, oh, I don't have it. I'm like, fuck me, I sold it. And so I'm going around to the people in the town. I'm like, do you have it? No one has it. So I'm like, you know what? I've literally captured every single minute of the footage of me playing this game. Let me scrub through that footage to find when I sold it. Scrubbing through, talking with chat, scrubbing through. I didn't sell it to anyone. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And someone's like, well, you're in this town called, I think it's called The Den? Or something like that. Kids steal things from you in that town. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, oh yeah, kids steal things from you.
Did you get fucking bamboozled?
A fucking quest item was stolen off of me in this fucking game.
Welcome to the 90s, bitch!
And so it turns out any time an item is stolen from you in this town, this one guy will sell it back to you. And so I went up to this guy, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, you know why that makes so much sense? Because it's probably like this crazy old guy who has these kids that he's paying to go out and steal shit.
That is exactly it. So what I did was I found him and I killed him. And I stole all the stuff off of his body, and now the kids won't steal anything in that town anymore because I killed him.
That is so dope.
And it was fucking awesome. But yeah, no, and so it's like little things like that. I will say at one point in this footage, you're going to see me talk to a guy, and he's like, oh, let me see that canteen. And I don't know where it is. I don't have it anymore. Either I sold it to someone, I don't know, like I'll have to go get it again. But it's one of those things where it's like, there's just like a lot going on. Like it's and I can definitely see how it, how new Fallout games have taken a lot of cues from these older ones. It's one of those things where when you spent like probably 98% of your time with a series with newer ones and not the older ones, you kind of assume that that's where a lot of it originated, but obviously it's not. I mean, I'm fighting a lot of the same creatures. I'm doing similar quest lines. Like I was in this one town and there's a well, and so I dropped a rope down the well. I climbed down. I'm picking up all these monies. Oh yeah, there was one quote that I was like, oh, this one right here, this one's my wish, or whatever from Goonies.
Oh yeah.
But then I find like a BB gun. It's like, oh, Johnny's like BB gun, and I go up to the guy and he's like, have you seen my son Johnny? It's like, oh man, I think he's dead. And he's like, no. And he's just inconsolable. Yeah. And then I go to another town like an hour later in the game, and I find like these fucking mole people who are living underground, and I find some kid named Johnny, and he's like, hey, how's it going, mister?
He's living with mole people?
Yeah, and it's like, oh shit, dude, like I know, like your dad's like so upset you're gone, and he's like, oh, can you take me home? But the guy who runs this place won't let you do it. And so I go talk to the guy, and he's like, oh, yeah, you can take him. Not really. I don't trust you. You need to make sure that the people from that town will trade with us. And we're like, oh, okay. So I go to the town, and I'm like, hey, you got to trade with those people. And they're like, fuck those people. There was a guy who used to live there, and they killed him. And if you can't prove they didn't in 30 days, we're going to attack them. What? And so I'm like, oh, fuck.
That's strange.
The thing is, like, anytime you're in the overworld of this game, you do anything, time progresses. You fucking rest, time progresses. You try to heal yourself, time progresses. And I'm like, fuck me, I have 30
what
days.
What happens if you don't rest? Do you are there any like consequences to like not resting?
You need to rest to regain health.
To regain health.
Oh.
And so like in the overworld, you'll see when I'm moving around, you'll see that on the top right, you can see the clock. Days move pretty quick when you're in the overworld, and I'm in this fucking town on like this ghost town, and I have to go fucking halfway across the map because I remember talking to like a guy at this town. So I go all the way over there, and it's like, oh, I'm a drunk now because those ghosts like scared me off my property.
Wait, is that literally how you traverse the overworld like that?
Yeah.
So there's not like actual like
It's not an open
manual
world game.
exploration between.
Well,
No.
you get sucked into like random encounters.
So yeah, there will be random events that happen in the overworld. You'll run into some merchants, or some bandits, or just some creatures.
And it'll zoom in.
But the only actual time you like it's zoomed in, kind of like where it's isometric and you're
No,
like,
no.
talking to people
When those
as-
random events happen in the overworld, it kind of pulls you into a smaller
Right,
area.
gotcha.
But it's all map based. There's
Correct.
all like individual maps that you're doing for encounters and towns
Gotcha.
and
But
stuff.
so when you want to travel between towns and you go into the overworld, suddenly it shows the time moving a lot faster.
Yes, because
trying
it's
to
the physical
represent-
time
yeah.
it takes you to get between those places.
Gotcha.
So you can actually get a car in the game that helps you traverse the overworld, and you can have more storage in it. I found the guy who has the car, but he's missing some parts, and he wants a lot of money.
I've always wanted a car in modern Fallout.
Right? And so, but yeah, so anyway, so I fucking have to traverse all the way over there, and I literally make it back with like, I don't know, a couple of days left on that 30 days. And I'm like, hey, dude, like, I found the guy. Don't attack them. He's still alive. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. We'll trade with him. And so I go back. I'm like, hey, they'll trade. And he's like, oh, cool. You can have the kid. And I take the kid back to the dad. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. Here's a fucking cool weapon. Like, he gives me this fucking light, like this submachine gun and like a fucking really like good armor and stuff like that. But yeah, like, honestly, like, I don't know, like, early on, I don't know if they chose just like the worst missions and dialogue and stuff, but like early on it was so fucking boring.
Like games of this era, RPGs of this era are kind of notorious for that shit. Like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 have like 2 has a super long starting dungeon.
Yeah.
The first thing you do.
Well, no, in
and
Fallout,
you're
one
stuck
of
in
the
a
first things you
town.
do is you're in a dungeon, like fighting fucking rats and
Yeah.
shit. And like it's like this game just starts so fucking boring, and like the feedback mentioned, you're like fucking getting your ass handed to you in combat early on, and like it's just like ugh. But then once you get over that maybe 4 or 5 hour hump, like the game starts gelling. You start finding good quests. You start like,
Are you finding yourself playing this off the feed at all?
yes. I was playing it last night for like last night I was playing Chasm. 2 nights ago off the feed. I was playing this for like 2 hours. Or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. Yes, I am definitely playing this off the feed. I'm actually enjoying it a lot more, and especially because, once again, thanks to Recycled, he hasn't been able to be there when I've been live because of the time difference or whatever. But he's been sending me Discord. He watches the video on demand, and he sends me like fucking paragraphs in Discord, like answering the questions I have.
See, this is the beauty of Discord. Isn't
Like,
that
I didn't
cool?
realize that, like, there's a lot of things, if you, like, long click on something, it brings up a menu of the things you can do with that. And I didn't realize if you just quickly click on it, it will always do the top thing. So if you quickly click on something you can interact with, like a bookshelf, it'll automatically search it. Or a person, it will, like, talk to them. You don't have to do, like, the long clicks. I didn't realize that. And yeah, a bunch of, like, little things like that, just that I didn't know. And once again, it's one of those scenarios where I don't have that 40,000 page manual sitting in front of me that everyone used to get when they got this game. And so I'm not having that stuff explained to me. But yeah, like, I'm really, like, kind of, like, striving, or like I'm really getting in that rhythm, getting in that flow, and interacting with people. And now I understand how bartering works, and I'm not giving away my shit anymore. And I'm kind of able to more finally understand how combat works,
Yeah.
and when it is appropriate to, do a targeted shot that costs 1 more AP, but you can go for like the dick or like the
Go for the
eyes.
dick.
Yeah, you can shoot the groin. A groin is the option. Unlike in Fallout 3, 4, New Vegas, you can't hit the groin. In this one, you can.
Hey, those games are for casuals.
As well as the eyes. If you hit them in the eyes, it can like blind them, which means their accuracy goes way fucking down. And it's just kind of stuff like that, and that's one of the things I was talking about. Like Recycle was saying, if you do a physical punch, and you punch someone in the eyes, and you get like a critical hit, they just die.
Y'all want to hear my favorite 1998 video game
those mole
quote?
rats that die. What's up?
Go for the eyes, boo. Go for the eyes.
What is that from?
Baldur's Gate came
Baldur's
out in
Gate.
1998.
Wait, why is nobody... Baldur's Gate came out in 1998? Is
Yeah.
nobody playing that this month?
We are playing a lot of games.
Yeah, Nick, I'm playing.
I
lots of
originally
stuff.
volunteered for Baldur's Gate, and Brad told me not to.
But yeah, like here's a scenario. Watch
That
this.
is not what I
Watch this.
said.
I'm going to interact with this guy. I'm going to have to long click on him. I'm looking in my inventory. I'm finding. Oh, I do have rad away. I found a guy who had rad poisoning, and so I'm like, oh, maybe it's like a quest or something. So I long click on him, and it's going to bring up the long menu. I have to scroll down to inventory, scroll to the item, and interact with it. And like kind of that stuff. It takes a while to get used to how you have to interact with things in the world. And then he wakes up and he's like, oh, I'm healed. I don't have any money to pay you.
It's a
That's
chunky
it.
UI. You have
And
to
I was
like,
like,
really dig
I
through
said-
stuff.
I was a little like about Baldur's Gate, Krispy, because that's very like not stream friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And while this is a similar type of game, Nolan is like a very big Fallout fan. I feel
Oh
like
no, yeah.
he should have played this by now.
No, and like I said, I own this. This is not. I didn't buy this for 1998 month. I own this, and I own Fallout 1, and I've owned them for a while. It's just now finally getting around to playing them.
I know you like candy.
But I will say that I still have issues with the game. The whole like isometric view where you can't see behind certain walls and stuff can be kind of annoying still. You have to go into a building. I know I'm wrong. I understand going into a building to see what's in there. You do that in any game. Can't see through walls. But it can be kind of frustrating sometimes just not like knowing layouts of areas and whatever. But once again, like I said, I am still playing this. I'm still excited about it. I'm getting into some more interesting quests now where people are like, asking me to do more complicated things, and in a kind of scenario where it's like, hey, this guy owes me money, and I go to the guy and he's like, I don't have the money now, but could you spot me and like you pay? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, what about just half of it, and then I'll pay you back? And I kind of like I'm getting into the more interesting writing and stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely going to keep
Which
playing.
just wasn't very front-loaded.
Oh no, not at all. Like I said, and that's one of the things that it just like is frustrating about this game is just how bad it is early on.
We'll call it a barrier to entry.
It's an extreme barrier, and it sucks that like I would really. There's been a lot of modding on this game. I don't know if there's like a mod that almost like makes the beginning better, but it really should be there just because it's just it's just like a fucking Fallout 3. You're not when that game begins. You're not doing anything that you're doing later in the game. You're fucking baby walking around and going to your birthday party and shoot like. But
even
at least,
that stuff is fairly brief.
But yeah, it's short. It gets you quickly used to combat. You're not fighting 40 rats in a dungeon.
Yeah.
And then it progresses very quickly, getting kind of the story of what's going on. Oh, you grew up in a vault, and your father was there, but then he disappeared, and blah, 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 and all this shit's going on. And then it just drops you in the world, and it says go. Whereas in this, it just drops you in a fucking cave, and it's like, oh, you have a fucking... your fists. Go punch some rats.
Yeah.
And you punch rats for like a fucking hour. And it's just one of those things where, like I said, the biggest thing for me was that the writing in this game is good, but the first chunk of writing was so fucking boring. I found myself just clicking through dialogue. I'm like, I don't fucking care. But then I fucking I helped this farmer. He's like, oh, fucking wild dogs have been attacking my Brahmin. Please help me. I'll give you $1,000. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, or 1,000 caps. He's like, but for every Brahmin that dies during the fight, you lose $100 off of that. Which I got away with only 2 dying, so I got 800 caps.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I go and talk to his daughter, and she's like, "Oh, thanks for helping my father." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, you want some?" And she was like, "Huh?"
What?
And then the option was like undress.
Whoa!
And so I start undressing, and the girl like freaks out, and then her dad comes in and starts shooting
no,
me.
you Louis C.K.'ter.
Well, no, I'm a woman though.
You're what?
I'm a woman in the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
female Louis C.K.'ter.
Oh my god! Well, I guess it's not too soon.
Louise.
Oh my god!
But yeah, no. This
But
game
was the 90s.
Yeah, it was
It's
the
way more
90s.
accepted.
That was okay.
There's definitely some darker right. I mean, you can kill kids. I mean, this is definitely not like
they didn't shy away from kid killing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
In the 90s.
I realize decent farts. It's a joke. But yeah, no, and like I said, I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. I doubt I'll like do everything this game has to offer, but I'm definitely going to continue.
Are you doing another stream of Suikoden? Or are you...
I don't know. Like I definitely don't get Brad. Calm down, killer. I want to play Suikoden. That's not one that I just want to push to a side. But it's also hard because this is Fallout 2 is not like a 10-hour game.
Sure,
And
but
so
you're
it's-
going to keep going with this game at this point.
Am I? I mean, there's also I'm fucking also playing other modern games that I want to play too.
Sure.
It's hard
But
to
in
like.
the sake of 98-month variety, I think you should give at least one more stream of Suikoden.
No, yeah, I will. I will.
All right, Brad,
What's up?
hit us up with some games. You got
Some
You brought some
James?
games. You had a ninja versus samurai night.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It went okay.
Okay.
I played some Mystical
Go
Ninja
on.
starring Goemon and some Brave Fencer Musashi, ninja and samurai respectively. Yeah, so which one would you like to hear about first?
He put up Mystical Ninja starring Goemon first, so let's
Do that
Let's
one.
talk
Probably
about
by
that one.
accident. Yeah, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon is a Nintendo 64 game. You know, it wasn't... Y'all had 64s, right? But none of
Yes,
y'all
absolutely.
played this game?
No,
Did
I
y'all-
had never
Did y'all
played
know
this
this
one, no.
game exists?
Never
Yes,
heard of
I knew
it.
it existed, but I never played it.
I had never heard of it until like last week.
It's a bit of a cult classic, I think, from the 64. I mean, this is not... I don't think either of these games are, like, very, like, super well-reviewed
Were you
games.
making out with that?
That
lady?
was a really weird way to start that footage.
But they're kind of beloved,
Yeah.
both of them. Goemon, I think, is beloved just because it's so crazy and cool, and you know, it starts with like an anime music video, and then there's giant mech like combat, which I don't have in the footage because it was like one story sequence where I've done that. But I know I do more of it later, but I've not been able to get that far yet. So this is sort of some people compare it to something like a Zelda game. You know, like a modern Zelda game. This came out the same year as Ocarina of Time. In fact, I think this beat Ocarina of Time, you know, to release, to market.
Oh, I was like, beat it how?
off.
Yeah. In that you have these towns, you go around, you're going into dungeons.
That's a
you're
tiny
getting
lady.
small keys and unlocking doors. This game, you know, was probably not really influenced by Ocarina of Time, but it was definitely influenced by older Zelda games when they were designing it, because you definitely see very Zelda-y type dungeons. This guy's small. The game
That
is
was a
very
guy?
the game is very weird. Yeah. Well, he's like a samurai. He's got long hair. Yeah, this game is very strange. You could swap between 3 characters. I had him randomly start later in the footage, so I think I'm going to be this guy for a while. But right now I have 3 different ninjas that I can swap between. This is not even Goemon. This is his friend Ubi Marasu. I don't know how to say it.
The blue guy.
Yeah, the blue guy. And yeah, you run around. It's not like the combat or anything is very good in this game. But I think it's the charm is why people really like this game, and the crazy variety of that you do in the game, as far as like little gameplay sequences. Like I told you about the mech sequence later. Coming up shortly is a sequence I do that's very strange as well. You might see me kind of wandering around a little bit in this footage, or a lot of it in this footage. That's because
I'm sure that's what you do in the game, probably, right? I mean,
that is what you do in the game, actually. In fact, I was talking to a townskeeper at the beginning of this footage that was telling me, by the way, you should like talk to people because they'll kind of help you figure out what you're supposed to be doing. And that's been kind of my struggles with this game so far. Is that man? I would have started with That's okay.
God damn
That's
it, Brad.
okay. You saw my some combat there, right? I swung my hammer.
Yes, you swung that hammer at the air.
Yeah. Kind of figuring out what you're supposed to be doing has sort of been my struggles with this game. And it's not just because this is sort of open-ended and you have this world and you're kind of going between towns and stuff. I think it's because the localization seems really pretty bad. Like, this is not a very well localized game, and sometimes I'm a little just confused by what they're asking me to do in any given moment. You know, it's a combination of the
you're a lady,
weird
now you're a guy.
localization.
Is that
Yeah.
Goemon?
Yeah, it's Goemon. Yeah. Yeah. It's a combination of the not great localization, the weirdness of the game, and whatnot, which is why
Be the lady.
I've been struggling a little bit. Well, I have to be this guy for this little mini game I'm about to play. The narrator's a character who occasionally pops in to explain things, but like there's like this fourth wall breaking, and sometimes you're like asking him to like explain things. It's very weird. Like I think I asked the narrator to explain what's happening here.
Nice.
It's goofy and it's kooky, and we should watch a little bit of this mini game because it's strange. I think I do kill a couple things in this footage.
There you officially killed something.
You just kind of whack things.
What in the world?
So I've shrunk down. I've learned from this little miniature samurai that if I eat 8 of these things, I learn how to shrink down, which is going to be an ability I learned that lets me unlock different parts of the world and kind of probably do some stuff in a dungeon. Everything in this game is a little jank, and you know it's like the camera is bad. Like you don't have have a lot of control over it, and you know it's a 64 controller as well, so even what you do have is kind of awkward.
Were you playing the original, like the actual 64?
No, this is an emulator. I don't own this game.
Is that giant dude? Is that like those things you throw in Smash Brothers?
Kind of looks like him.
Those things are from Earthbound, the little Mr. Saturns, but I don't think so.
He looks like it.
I think he does look like
looks like what I remember.
But this is a game I definitely want to play more, but I think I'm gonna like secure the cart because I've been having a little bit of issues with the emulation. Yeah, although this stuff doesn't look bad, but when I'm kind of out in the open world, of which they have these big open environments, kind of like like Hyrule Field or whatever. Yeah. Even though it's like really empty in this game. I've been kind of having some issues with the emulator, so I might secure the cart and keep playing with this game because even though it has its issues, it can be a little simplistic. The dungeons can have been a little basic, and the world's like kind of empty, and I'm a little confused at times. It has a lot of charm, and I can't stress enough like how cool like the music video is at the beginning, and like right before I started that big mech sequence, like kind of this music video played, and you're not gonna get much out of it from just kind of watching this footage, but I'm telling you that shit is fucking cool because it's just a big robot Goemon, and you get inside of him, and you're like fighting this other big samurai robot, and like the mechanics are actually surprisingly deep, and it was pretty challenging, and it was unlike anything else in the regular gameplay. So I had a lot of fun, and I'm probably gonna keep going just so I at the very least get to the next mech combat sequence and maybe do another dungeon or two before I kind of, I guess, am content with how much I played this month of this game. But I'm probably gonna try to get a cart before the end of the month and play up. I haven't played too much of this game. So,
but how about that other game that you played on Ninja?
See, I learned how to shrink. I learned how to shrink.
Oh, cool.
The other game I played, the Samurai game,
one I'm more familiar with. This was a PlayStation game.
More familiar with, yeah. This one was more popular than Mystical Ninja, I think, because it came from Square Enix in an era. Brave Fencer Musashi is what we're talking about. In an era where Square Enix was kind of on fire. This was post Final Fantasy VII, and everybody was buying everything from Square Enix, right? Also, this had a demo for Final Fantasy VIII. So some people got this game just to play that Final Fantasy VIII demo.
That's how you sell them back in the day.
Man.
Yeah. The Square Enix was notorious for doing.
This was a crackdown.
Yeah, it was kind of like a crackdown. But I actually never played it much back in the day, just because it's 1998. There's a lot of other stuff.
You
I
want
was
to say the
playing
name of the game?
He did.
I already did. Brave Fencer Musashi.
Oh, I guess I missed it.
Now this game is if that other game was a little bit more like a Zelda-like game, this one is more of just an action RPG, which, I mean, Zelda's kind of an action RPG, but I mean, there's towns, there's inns, you're talking to people, which, I guess you do that in Goemon as well. I actually kind of paired these games together because not only are they, ninjas and samurai, but they're both kind of equally have this quirkiness to them, and they really kind of complement each other. This one, it kind of has action RPG combat where you're just running up and hitting things. You have 2 different swords. You can absorb abilities from enemies and kind of use those abilities against other enemies. Use those abilities to like solve puzzles and platforming challenges and whatnot.
I don't know why, but in my head I was thinking Brave Fencer Musashi was like a arena combat game.
What?
I was totally wrong.
What even is an arena combat game in 1998?
Like a Bushido Blade type game is what I meant to say.
Oh no, God no! This game, like Goemon, has a lot of personality. Now this one has a lot of voice acting in it, and that voice acting at the time was very impressive because Final Fantasy VII, Parasite Eve, Final Fantasy VIII, like none of those games were like voice acted. So to hear like Musashi and all these other characters have very it's like you're watching almost like a Saturday morning cartoon the way they're talking to each other, and that stuff is really kind of zany and the humor is I think one of the big reasons people enjoyed this game back then. Because some of the mechanics are a little suspect. Here's a fucking bad dude. And there's some platforming in this game too. And because of this isometric view, because of the isometric view and stuff, the camera can be a little weird. So you're falling off platforms, and it could be
a very common issue back in the day.
Here I'm absorbing him. And now I have his ability to throw.
Wait, you
spears.
absorb enemies in this game?
Wait, was that Final Fantasy VIII? Did you just draw?
No, I absorbed his soul. He actually
like drew
disappeared and he died probably pretty painfully. But now I could throw spears. But yeah, so there's some awkwardness with like the platforming and the combat. Like you're very short and stubby in your swords. You have two swords and one of them has slightly longer range, but it's like another millimeter. So it could be a little awkward, but I think like Goemon, the strength is really in its personality, its humor, and I do like how you can kind of pick up enemies and like throw them and stuff. Which
I kind of like the look of this game. I wasn't super,
no, like it has a good look.
I wasn't super crazy about the look of Mystical Ninja, but this looks pretty cool.
Well, yeah, especially when you were expecting a fucking fighting game.
Yeah, no shit.
One of the cool things about this game is it does have a day, night cycle, which I think is pretty unique for a game of this era. And different like stores and shops might be closed, or people you need to talk to or interact with in the world might only be there at certain times, kind of like Majora's Mask, right? Mm-hmm. And you actually have the ability to kind of just fall asleep on the spot. He just kind of yawns and goes, I'm just gonna fucking fall over and sleep here to kind of progress the time and whatnot. Like here I'm kind of running to this forest area before 8 a.m. because at 8 a.m. there's a guard out front who doesn't let me into it, and I kind of just make it. So I was like, whew, I didn't have to like sleep for a whole day right in front of him to get to it. But here I'm gonna do a little bit of combat and platforming, and it's fine. I will say, like compared to Goemon, this seems like like a bigger production. There's more going on in terms of mechanics and skills and abilities, but this game still is pretty simple compared to other RPGs especially coming out of Square Enix at the time. It's kind of, but it's not necessarily easy. Like I die here in this footage, mostly because I'm losing a lot of health because of like platforming mistakes and whatnot. But here, you could just pick up dudes and like throw them into the water and stuff. You can know this dude's a ghost. I think he dies here. It's cool, and I can't stress enough. It's the personality, it's the voice acting, it's the humor that makes this game seem really strong. And like neither of these games, both Goemon and Brave Prince and Musashi, they're these games that didn't get like amazing reviews back then, but they're kind of beloved.
Did Chad seem to have a preference?
At
the end of the
well,
night,
see, so Goemon has that intro and it has that fucking
the
mech
anime
sequence
intro?
And people really love that stuff, but I feel like outside of that maybe it wasn't maybe as exciting. Like the lows for Goemon were lower than the lows here.
Really?
I think this is the more consistent game. Like if I had to like throw down money and be like happy with a purchase, I might be a little more iffy about what Goemon was throwing at me.
Yeah.
Like there was this one side quest in that game where it's like, okay, go grab 2 bluefish, and then I had to go get them, and now grab 4 yellowfish, and I'm like, oh cool, I got them, and I was like, now get 8 redfish, and I was just running around catching all these fish for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, this is not good.
This isn't particularly fun.
Yeah, this is just me sleeping.
I see that.
To get health back, but
when do you
but
like,
you get tired. See the tiredness.
when do you like sell stuff?
Sell stuff.
Yeah, like is that you fencer? I assume.
Okay.
Oh my God!
He
no.
uses swords. I think that's what they're
okay.
referring to.
Dad.
But yeah, like again, I think it was pretty ahead of its
They
time.
don't call those people fencers. They call them fences. You're a fence, not a fencer.
I'm offensed by that.
God damn it, Nolan.
So not only is there
Oh my
a day-night
God.
cycle, but you get tired, and if you get like too tired, you'll just kind of pass out, even in the middle of
Like combat?
an adventure. Like
okay.
yeah, in the middle of combat, you'll just kind of like pass out, and I think enemies can attack you and you'll die. Oops! I
Oh
fell.
wow.
Look
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah, a little awkward.
Man, it's
but
actually
Well, I mean, I think a lot of
Wouldn't
older
mind playing this game.
platformers, like
It's cool.
even you have always had issues. Like the game Nick's gonna talk about, like so many fucking issues with camera angles and platforming and stuff.
And
yeah.
medieval last week, same sort of thing. I mean
Yeah.
this was still a somewhat awkward time for like these 3D games, especially if they're not.
They were
like,
still trying
kind of the
to
big
fully
budget
figure
ones.
out how platforming would
Yeah.
work in 3D.
Yeah.
It was also hard when you didn't have like getting used to like double analog sticks or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though this is like a feudal setting, like I come across enemies that are like kind of shooting
What?
like guns,
Yeah.
and like there's just like a kind of like a missile attack that's pretty easy to dodge. But when you absorb their ability, you straight up are like shooting an SMG. It's pretty fucking.
Makes
So
sense.
it's like Kirby.
Makes sense to me.
Well, yeah, you absorb their and learn their abilities.
Cool.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. I
Thanks.
like it.
Thank you, Brad. I'm gonna save my
like
game
Soma.
for the second half. Before we go to break, I want to hear from Krispy.
You want to hear from me before we go to break?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got an hour of material for this game.
All right.
I'm
I guess
down.
we're having a break in
don't-
an hour.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay.
Did you get an hour of footage?
No, I got one combat and I failed it. In fact, part of the reason why I was late is because I failed this recording it, and then I was like, no, okay, now I know what to do. So I like retried it and I failed
Fucking
it again.
Nick over
Oh.
here.
And then I didn't have
Man.
time to
This
keep.
footage
I
is
told
a-
you about the archers, man. Just make archers.
Dude,
You get a
the
pie.
archers aren't good enough for this mission that I'm on.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
I need, like, what I really, okay.
We're talking about
Okay,
Tactics
I'm talking
Ogre.
about Tactics Ogre. Let us cling together.
What is Tactics Orge? Let us cling together.
It is Final Fantasy Tactics, just with like a different story.
Yep.
Sweet.
Pretty much exactly. Like,
All right, time to
like,
go to break.
Exactly that. Like, I mean,
But you love- but
why
you love
are they
you love
so
Final
similar?
but they're not. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way either. Like, it's fucking great. The artwork and the story in this game so far have been incredible.
And are you playing the like OG Tactics Ogre?
I'm
Or
playing the PSP version.
Okay.
The PSP re-release. The OG version is like Super Nintendo from '95.
Yeah.
Well, in 1998, they was the first time it ever came to North America, and
Right.
I played on PlayStation. It's actually quite a bit simpler than this one, which is why this might seem the transition from Tactics Ogre to Final Fantasy Tactics felt a lot more significant to
This
me
isn't-
because I played these both in 1998. But this PSP version added
I'm
a lot
not-
of like the skill system didn't really exist back then.
Right. Yeah. So skills are like a big thing now
Yeah,
in this game, which
That's
is
what I'm
something
talking
I've been
about.
trying to explore. A
Yeah.
bit.
yeah.
So like characters as they participate in combat, they earn skill points, and then you can actually like go into their menus and like buy skills for them to equip. And those skills cover like everything,
Yeah.
basically everything short of like you can swing a sword.
Oh, this game is so beautiful.
Is done through skills. Like even so, like you'll see when I select an archer character, it'll put up like a trajectory to show you where they're gonna shoot. Like that's a skill you have to buy for the archers.
Okay.
So like everything is handled by archers. Now the reason why I was having trouble with this particular mission is because there's an NPC that's being attacked by the opponent, and your job is to
Yeah.
kill the NPC's leader before she dies, and you kind of start in this like awkward little bottleneck, and the first like 2 or 3 rounds of this mission are all just like positioning and trying to get people somewhere. And it just sucks because like everybody like there isn't a lot, like I don't know how they calculate movement in this game, and that's something I need to explore
Nailed down.
because I don't understand
It's
how
class based.
I know, but what I'm saying is I don't understand how they calculate how far a character can move in a specific turn on a specific situation, because it'll be like, oh, you can move 4 tiles in this direction, but you can't move even a single tile in this direction because there's 2 teammates in front of you. You know, like sometimes they can move through teammates, sometimes they can't move through. It's
Yeah.
really,
Your
really
movement range
weird.
has to extend beyond the teammate, otherwise you're just not going to be able to move in that direction. Also, you got to take height into consideration. Sometimes,
Dude, yeah,
Right,
that
but
was-
I
that
mean,
was-
but like you'll see, even right here, it gets really.
Taking height into consideration as far as like range and stuff goes is always, especially with like archers, like when they have like the higher ground, they can shoot like
Yeah.
farther. and
There's
stuff.
one guy, I think his name is Canopus.
yeah.
Who I have
Cannabis?
Canopus.
I always call them
Ew.
canopus.
Canopus, like canopy, but with a
Oh,
with a
He's
U.S.
fucking
instead
awesome,
of a
by
Y.
the way.
But he has wings. He's a Birdman, so he has like the greatest range in the whole party,
He's
and he
amazing.
can like go up like 2 or
he's a
3 levels
Birdman.
of elevation at a time. But
Archers, they do more damage.
The archers-
they have better range from up high.
the archers have generally so far been proven to be very useful.
Oh yeah.
This particular match, they are not, and I
Yeah.
think I just need I think all it is like I've done 2 kind of like random field battles, and I just need to like grind the shit out of those battles and level up some more because like my characters aren't doing any damage, and I've bought like the highest level of like weaponry I can at the shop that I'm near, so
I will say
it's kind of proving to be a grindy experience.
more so than Final Fantasy Tactics,
Yeah.
you really have to kind of like isolate an enemy and really kind of team up on them to get them down because
Yeah.
it does take longer. But as you get further in the game and start getting new skills and stronger, enemies start going down quicker. But you also have more units too, so yeah. So like here, what it is your range just didn't extend beyond where your units were. You know, if you had like one more range of movement, you could have moved up there. But later on, you unlock ninjas and stuff who have much better movement range. And
Ninjas?
Yeah, I mean it's just kind of weird though when you look at it and it's like you can move laterally pretty far, but you can't like take a single step forward. Like that's just kind of like I don't like that's why I feel confused about how movement in this game works and about like how spacing and positioning works and you know, we talked a little bit about this, and there's a lot of influence, obviously, in this game from, like, tabletop RPG. Like, I am absolutely certain that Matsuno was, like, a D&D guy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because,
wouldn't be
like,
surprised.
Wouldn't be surprised.
This is, like, so completely just right up that alley. And there's some stuff with the weird, with the movement, too, that's, like, some weirdness that's kind of reminiscent of older versions of those games.
And you played and completed Final Fantasy Tactics, right? And
Yeah.
loved it?
Mhm. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I really liked it. And honestly, like, I'm kind of zipped into the story on this one a little more than I was.
A lot of
Fantasy
people
Tactics.
prefer the story to Tactics.
And it's not that
Especially,
Tactics was
like-
a bad story, but it
no.
just like it gets a little too. It's talking the story in Final Fantasy Tactics I find is like talking a lot about events that like you're not really seeing.
Yeah.
It's talking a lot about things that you don't really like experience very often in a first-hand way. And here things are much more about like what's happening with this specific core group of people, you know?
Gotcha.
And like kind of the larger political struggle that's going on around them. But it's really
also
really neat.
like I'm telling you, like you haven't gotten there yet, but there are points in the story where you're straight up like making decisions, and that never happens in Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah.
Decisions that are like fucking serious and dramatically change where the story goes in the game.
Mhm.
Like, am I going to kill this village of people for the greater good?
Yeah.
Like,
Some fucked up shit.
yeah. I'd say if you can get it out of this month, at least getting to the end of the first chapter, I would be very pleased, because that's when some shit goes down.
As someone...
And you can take kind of the lawful path or go chaotic, and I kind of recommend going lawful just because you don't really get the opportunity to do that in many games. You know, you have the BioWare games, and it's like, well, I'm going to be just kind of a dick, you know, but this is different. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to be kind of a dick. It's like, I'm going to do some fucked up shit because I think it's...
From the lawful path?
Yeah.
Question.
What up, Nick?
As someone... Because I've always been like... I came really close to playing Final Fantasy Tactics on the PSP. In fact, I had it in my possession once, and I never ended up
It's more
playing it.
accessible than this.
Well, I guess that kind of answers my question. My question was like, as someone who's like interested in playing one of these games, because I would like to experience one of them. I don't know if I'm going to, you know, love it and like want to play both of them, but like if I had to pick one,
I would say Final Fantasy Tactics, because you already know a lot about Final Fantasy, so you have that
so you get the
connection.
It's cool to like see that.
Yeah, it's cool to
universe,
see
and
that
it's
stuff.
really
You can ride chocobos and extend your movement and stuff.
You get white mages and black mages instead of priests and wizards.
Also, I think
Like, is the biggest difference I'm seeing so far.
Oh, wow.
And that's it.
Oh.
And instead of Phoenix Down, you get these little crystals.
What's the best way to play these games? Is it to emulate it at this point? Or?
that's a complicated question. But you know, play it on your fucking. Yeah.
I wish I still had a fucking-
Play
not
it
to
on
emulate.
your fucking.
Play it on your
fucking beat
Android
it.
phone.
No, okay.
I don't have one.
I know. Let's go.
Damn you.
It's this. I still believe that Final Fantasy Tactics is
I mean, it's
the better game for
I mean,
sure.
it's
Obviously,
your favorite game of all time.
Yeah. The one of the downsides to this game is Tactics Ogre is the level design is very simple because you can't like rotate the map and stuff. So like all the maps are kind of like these gently like sloping up sort of things, and
is something I do kind of miss.
Could you rotate the map in Tactics?
In Tactics, you could a
Yeah.
little bit.
Also,
I don't think you could do a full 360. Could you? You could just
No,
do,
you
like,
could.
one
You could
minute.
full
yeah,
360
you
and like adjust tilt and stuff.
'Cause,
And
like,
that allows for much more
There
complex
is like
level design.
positioning, like the way this is built. You can't rotate the map at all. It's always at that angle.
You could do a complete top down.
but there are. Oh, you can.
yeah,
Oh, I don't know how to.
it's
do
just
that.
like a tactical view.
But
It's a button.
yeah, I mean, okay, that makes sense because like there's a shit ton of like most of the maps I played on have been some sort of urban setting where there's been like buildings next to each other and there's like alleyways you can move through, but you can't fucking see them.
Yeah,
because
there's
of
a option to view top down. Also, there's a lot more customization that you get into with your characters and Final Fantasy Tactics, and like that even though the PSP release of this game added like a ton of skills, which skills didn't even exist. There was magical spells for mages, but the only thing that separated like a ninja from like a knight were the weapons they can use and their movement range.
That's pretty interesting too. I like like acquiring new spells and stuff through the
Yeah.
scrolls in this
Yeah.
game. That's another like kind of D&D thing where like a lot of the like your spellcasters, like you can find a scroll of a spell and you can either spend that scroll to cast it or you can use that scroll to learn the spell.
Yeah.
And they have it set up in such a way where I don't know if this was the way it was before, but because of the skill points now, like each individual school of magic is its own skill point cost that you have to buy into. So you could very easily like teach your wizard a spell that he just doesn't know how to cast. So he knows the spell, but until you learn how to cast like thunder magic or whatever it
fucking
is,
great. Like,
he can't use it, you know?
Like, this universe is really good. I have a lot of nostalgia for the Ogre universe, like all the fucking tarot cards and the music and just the whole presentation is like this really slick thing.
I found I still had a set of like promotional tarot cards from when one of the PS3
I remember
games from
those.
GameStop. I found some in my
Yeah. I got a
so
couple
like
picks of
I
those.
remember looking at those and being like, this game looks cool, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And now
I will say this too, like I already felt this way about Final Fantasy Tactics, but like I love the way this game looks.
Yeah.
Like, the way the levels
yeah, the
design
art style
and the
is
art
like
style.
super dope. All the different character portraits are like amazing. Are
See
really
that
awesome.
like we talked about Octopath Traveler, like missing this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like
character
just a little
portraits.
character art.
You know
on
what's
the side,
funny?
like,
so much.
You know what's funny?
it adds so much.
It's the same artist. Character artist is the same.
Yeah. And those
I mean, have you
promotional
noticed the
images-
cover of Octopath Traveler?
Yeah,
Yes.
Looks a lot like this.
the like all the promotional stuff they put out for Octopath Traveler was done in that art style.
Like it's dumb
and it
because
looked like, oh, this should be a part of the experience.
like
you
it's
know?
dumb because like Octopath Traveler, they had the art, they did the
Yeah.
art for the cover. Like
They didn't
I'm
have
sure
time to
that's
put
even
it in
those
the
are
fucking
characters.
game, though.
Those are probably individually drawn characters that are layered on top of each other for like that
Oh, yeah,
group
probably.
shot.
Yeah.
It's like just take those apart and like put them on the screen while they're talking. Holy shit!
Did Final Fantasy? I really can't remember because I only finished that game once. But did Tactics do the thing where like you could go through basically your move and figure out like what kind of action you wanted to take, and then
then
at any
back
time
out?
you could just like back
Yeah.
out and then reset you back to where they
No,
were.
well, you could back up your actions, but if you moved, you could not take back your move.
Okay,
You
see-
also couldn't do that in the original Tactics Ogre. You could.
See, that's a thing you can do in this version
More-
of the game, is you
more
can take
t-
back your move, and that is like
More tactics games need that.
that is a huge quality of life improvement.
they did like an incredible amount of like modernizing to this version of the game that they didn't do with the handheld port of Final Fantasy Tactics back then. I've always wished that they would kind of do the Final Fantasy Tactics port again with this much like this much modernization, but it's not. But alas, you know.
I think one problem I bump up against. I think one
It's on your
problem.
Vita. Play it on your Vita.
I don't have a Vita anymore.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I think one problem that I normally have with tactics games is I bump up against this issue of like information not being transparent enough before they ask you to commit to like an action or a move. And there's still a little bit of that going on here, but there's a lot less of that in this game than there is in a lot of other tactics games I've played. So I really enjoy that. I mean, you can kind of like experiment and move around a little bit to try to like set up a character and see like, you know, where they're.
Another thing they added for this version of the game is you can the Wheel of Fortune system.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can rewind
I haven't really
turns.
fucked with that at all.
I played the whole game. I never
Nick,
used it, but it's nice to have it there.
yeah.
I know you don't have a Vita, but they always sell PlayStation TVs for super cheap. You just get one of those.
Will that work?
Yes, it plays Vita games.
That's
Well, this
That's
is
like the point of it.
Well, yeah.
did they release
this
it-
a PSP game, but
Did they
I'm
release
pretty
it as
sure
a
you
download
can still play it.
on the Vita?
Even if it wasn't a
believe so.
download, you can put Vita cartridges in the PlayStation TV.
They didn't release this on the Vita.
This isn't a
did they?
Vita game though.
It's a PSP game.
But I'm saying there's a.
there wasn't a Vita cartridge for.
If there was a digital version of this on Vita, which I don't know if there was.
Oh, okay.
It's a
Then it would
UMD.
work.
Well, then why'd you say play it on your Vita?
Well, because I'm pretty sure you can download it.
All right. Well, we'll get to the bottom of that
Okay.
later. Is there anything else you want to say about Tactics Ogre?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not far enough to really
Get through that
give
first
you
act.
anything like super insightful about the game, other than I'm really enjoying.
I mean-
it. And it's like
I want to play it.
I've been doing a lot of D&D stuff lately, and like I've been doing a lot of like working on my own campaign settings and things like that, and it's been really fun to play this game and see like Matsuno doing it. You
Yeah.
know? Especially doing it in a world where he has like kind of absolute freedom. You know, he's
Yeah.
not like even tied under a Final Fantasy thing or something
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah.
like this game has been scratching a certain itch.
Awesome.
That's good.
I hope you keep going with it.
Yeah,
'cause
me
it's
too.
cool. And I hope to one day play it myself. Anyways, we need to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about Banjo Kazooie, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the N64 as a system that came out back in the 90s. And then we're going to answer questions from our supporters on Patreon. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We only have one more game to talk about. It's my game that I've been playing. I played it on the stream last week, and I've never played this game before.
I think you played it this week.
So that's what I meant. Well, what did I say?
You said last week.
Oh, sorry. My last stream. It was 2 days ago.
Okay.
I've actually never played Banjo fucking Kazooie.
Ooh, that's not right, Nick.
So I'm sorry. That actually makes sense
Yeah.
because they're
Does
two
it?
different characters. Sorry. Let me re-say that. I've never played Banjo Kazooie
Okay.
for the N64.
I'm not entirely sure why, but maybe we'll talk about that in our next segment.
Oh, you're playing this on the N64?
No, I'm actually playing. God damn it! Nolan. I'm actually playing this in the Rare Replay collection.
I don't think that was out in '98.
It was not out in 1998, but neither was Let Us Cling Together, Nolan. Why didn't you call that Krispy? Huh?
No, that came out in '98 on the PSP. Had a bunch of advancements and changes to the game.
I hate you. Anyways, I'm playing Banjo Kazooie, right? I picked up the Rare Replay collection on the Xbox One a long time ago. Haven't really had much of a reason to use
I thought
it.
you did that on purpose.
No, I didn't even realize that.
Wait, what did you?
He's got that cool baby blue color.
Look
Oh
at
my
my
God.
fucking
Neon
stealth
blue.
N64.
This is, wow,
Okay.
that's
the Octo
hilarious.
Camo edition.
Sorry,
Anyway, sorry,
we're
yeah.
holding. We use the green screen in the studio, and Nolan is holding up
I
his.
think they got it. Oh, for the
This is
audio.
for the audio
listeners.
listeners.
Okay. Yeah.
Bro.
People who are listening in.
For people who can't see this with their eyeballs. Anyways, I'm playing Banjo Kazooie for the first time ever. This game is a delight.
Yeah, no shit.
Everyone here's played this game.
We're aware of that, Nick. Intimately aware.
I know this was the perfect opportunity. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to add about this game. Most people out there know plenty about this game. Fucking Robin came in while I was playing this, and turns out she's like a fucking MLG Banjo Kazooie player. She like helped me like 100% like two of the worlds while I was playing. She remembered everything, and I was like, "Oh my god, what am I doing with my life? Why did I never play this game?" It's so good.
I played this for the first time a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah, don't you remember? I was talking about how this game was a delight. I'm pretty sure that's what you're saying.
No, I say everything is a delight. That's kind of my thing.
That is accurate.
Everybody says, "Nick, people walking, Nick, is this game a delight?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a delight." Because I say everything that I like is a delight. And you know what? Banjo Kazooie is a fucking delight.
Do you really forget me playing this?
Well, I mean, I knew you played it, but I didn't think it was your first time.
It was my first time, but I've always been a Banjo Kazooie like shit talk like hater.
Well, I know you're a Banjo Kazooie nuts and bolts.
Damn,
like,
you fell for that, Nick?
Yes, I fall for it.
Yeah.
Every
Oh
time.
my god!
I fall for it every
What have you
time.
never played this game?
And that's exactly what Robin said to me when this happened to me multiple times last year. But yeah, this game is pretty dope. There's not a whole lot much that I can add to. Everybody here's fucking play this game.
Dude,
It's
the
fucking,
music in this game's so good.
The music is so good. Like the writing is clever and funny, and like the sound effects are amazing.
There's not too many games that I can remember. You remember some Mario 64 song and stuff like that. It's like every fucking sound in this game I can remember. When you step on the thing and Kazooie pops out with the shoes.
Yeah.
Like every single fucking song in this I remember.
Every little jingle.
Every when you pause the game, like I fucking just the music is so, and it's repetitive, but it never gets old. It never gets like annoying. It's just always like delightful.
It's great. One thing that does kind of bug me about it, which is there might even be a setting in there. I haven't really digged too far, but like when it's displaying text like dialogue and stuff on a screen, like it doesn't wait for you to like click to continue to the next one.
Correct.
It just
goes
cycles
through
through it.
Yeah.
And there's been so many times where I'm like distracted by chat and I completely miss like instructions on how to use abilities, and I have to like just fumble with the
that
controller.
was
until I
fucking
figure it
happening to me too when I played
Yeah.
this.
It was. Game
It's older games.
It's
I mean.
older. It wasn't really designed
Nick, in
to be
1998, people generally didn't get too distracted when playing games.
Yeah, no.
They didn't have chat.
I didn't have chat to distract
or,
me back in
yeah.
98.
Smartphones.
Yeah.
I also gotta say,
Smartphones.
like
a care in the world.
one of my.
As an aside, speaking of smartphones, it broke my heart when the intro to the kind of the late title card intro to Suikoden 2 was playing. Like the reminiscence where they were showing the flashbacks, and you were staring at your phone.
Me?
You were looking at your phone,
Brett,
Nolan.
you realize I already watched it, right?
Oh, wow.
I played that game for like an hour off the feed, trying to make sure I had everything going. So yeah, I had already seen the intro.
Okay. You win this time.
You know what I like about Banjo? Because my favorite.
It's a fucking
thing.
delight.
It is a fucking delight, but like the sense of like the exploring, the weird thing is like this is one thing I wasn't ready for, because like Super Mario 64, you explore the castle, you find a painting. Oh,
Yeah.
you found the world. You jump into the painting.
Yep.
Boom, you're there. In this game, you find a puzzle. You get the puzzle pieces. You go to the puzzle. You put the puzzle pieces in it, and it's like,
They're
you've
called
unlocked-
jiggies.
Sorry, you put the jiggies on the puzzle. It tells you you've unlocked the world, but then you gotta go find the world.
find it.
It's somewhere else in the map. And
You get a picture of it.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I was like, okay, I unlocked something. I don't know where it is. So it's like more exploration.
Yeah.
Which is cool. The hub world is really cool.
It's cool.
I really, really love.
Ukulele does stuff like that too, but people.
But it's
You know
bad.
what's crazy? So I recently
bad.
played ukulele, and I played like 5 or 6 hours of it, and I'm playing this, and I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't think there's too much differentiating this game from ukulele.
Ukulele gets a bad rap.
That's what I'm saying.
For many reasons. Hold on.
It is nowhere near as
Do
good
we want
as
to talk
this.
about
But like that,
ukulele?
No, we don't.
No, but here's the thing. I felt the same way. I was playing ukulele. I'm like, I'm addicted to this. I didn't get hooked in ukulele, but I can't really tell you why.
So you hold on. You've played this for a little bit, right?
Yeah,
You've
about
gotten some
5
like
hours.
transformations, right?
Yes.
What have you transformed into?
An alligator, the ant.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think those are the only two.
It's a
The
termite,
transformations
actually.
are not
Termite.
great on this either.
What were some of the transformations in ukulele?
The bat, the plant.
The truck.
There's a truck. There's
Yeah.
a truck and ukulele.
Yeah.
second one.
So what happened when you transformed into those?
Dude, I haven't played ukulele much.
The answer is fucking nothing. You would transform into something in that game, and then like you would use it to interact with one thing, and then you're done with it. Like it was so just they put it in there just because Banjo Kazooie had transformations.
Sure.
The truck on the ice planet, you don't do shit when you're the truck. It's almost pointless. It seems like there are all these things in ukulele that are there just because. Oh, do you remember when you did this in Banjo Kazooie? But in Banjo Kazooie, when you transform into something, there's a reason to it. It changes how you interact with the world.
Banjo Kazooie is an amazing fucking video game. Ukulele is not an amazing fucking video game. I was just saying, it is very much this style of game, like the way they
Yeah.
do the hub world
Yeah.
and finding the worlds. That's why I brought it up.
Okay.
I mentioned it. And what I was saying is that there's a vitriol for that game that I think is
Yeah,
I
It's
think
unfounded.
I think it mainly stems from the fact that people were excited because it's the people who made Banjo Kazooie,
Yeah.
and they assumed they were going to get a game similar to Banjo Kazooie, but it is different.
But it wasn't
enough.
Mighty Number 9 bad, but people
Cool,
act
I
like
agree
it
with you.
is
I agree
Mighty
with
Number
you.
9
It was
bad.
not Mighty Number 9 bad. I agree with that. What's
How
up,
is it
Krispy?
that Banjo Kazooie never appeared in any of the Smash Brothers games?
Well, it's a Microsoft-owned property.
Yeah, because
It
Microsoft
is,
owns it.
But
but
recent-
they license properties from other.
Okay,
and this
they're
was like
getting there.
this
They're
was
fucking getting there.
flagship.
You know what? There's
N64.
news. There's fucking news about that on the topic of Banjo Kazooie.
Is there really?
Yes, Phil Harrison straight up said on Twitter at Nintendo, "I would be cool with that."
Dude,
That's good.
So if Nintendo
Come
wants
on.
Banjo Kazooie in
it happen.
Smash,
That would be a great Smash character.
Microsoft.
so there's
Is not
absolutely
against it.
no excuse for him not to be there now.
Well, yeah,
as-
no,
as
I mean
some-
it's a good fit. I mean, this is a pretty defining N64
And
And
game.
as a
Absolutely
regular
was.
listener to Kind of Funny podcast, they talk a lot about wanting Banjo Kazooie to be
Yeah.
in Super Smash.
Yeah,
So
but-
it is not like that has never come
Banjo-
up.
You know who's
Banjo-
more deserving?
Banjo
Fucking
was in-
Andy, okay?
Oh, yeah. Banjo was in Diddy Kong Racing.
I didn't say that, bro,
I know.
but it's probably true.
No one else is saying that.
But Nick, so
All I
how,
was
how
trying to say was that, like, having played like, about 5 hours of this, and I've played about 5 or 6 hours of ukulele, like, they're very similar in terms of structure and everything, but, like, and, you know, ukulele gets certain things right, but at the same time, like, they are so similar that it's kind of hard to figure out what the magic sauce is with Banjo Kazooie. But it definitely has it.
It's a lot of things. You know, it's the music, it's the sound effects, it's
the sound
little
effects, the
things,
music,
charm.
the worlds are very
Yeah.
unique, and every world you go into, it seems like
But, like,
it has
the worlds I played in ukulele were pretty cool, too. Like,
it is like an emulation. Hey, let's not stop talking about you.
Yeah, I agree.
all I'm saying is, like, after playing this,
It's a solid game that gets undue hate.
okay, fair enough. Anyways,
Falls a little part towards the end.
you
a
know,
little
one thing, I like I said, I can't add too much to, like, the overall like, Banjo Kazooie discussion. I can't. There's nothing new that I'm going to say here. I do want to say that, like, my favorite thing, like, the moment I
You got to
learned
poop
how
in his mouth.
the moment I learned how to do the where you Kazooie comes out of your backpack and you walk on it, like,
Yeah.
you, like, runs
Yeah.
really fast. I was like, oh my god, this feels so good,
Dude, it's great. Like every transformation, every like when you learn how to fly with Kazooie, when you get like the invincibility shield as Kazooie,
Yeah.
like there's so many things that like you do. Like there's the like you were talking about when you transform into the crocodile. There's just like delightfully like snap, like snapping around and stuff like that, and you got to like it
And
just.
people kept talking, like, while I was streaming, people kept telling me, like, oh, this is my least favorite world. It was the there's two. I played two of them that people kept saying, oh, I hate this world. It was the Clanker's Cavern, right? With the
I
big-
like Clinkers. Isn't
yeah,
that
I was
bad.
like, this is actually a really cool level where you're, like, going in and out of, like, his gills and stuff, and you know, that stuff was really cool. And then Bubble Gloop Swamp. Like,
Bubble
like
Gloop-
Bubble Gloop
I
Swamp a
still
lot.
enjoy it. Nick, here's the thing: you enjoy it, and people say they don't like it. That's just because the other ones are even better.
Yeah.
It's one of those scenarios where it's like I think they're like remembering it not as well.
Yeah, and
Or
I'm,
there's some frustrating.
all I'll say
moments.
is,
Yeah.
and
frustrating mini games.
to
Well,
kind
that
of wrap
can
this
be.
up, like, I'm loving this game, and I'm going to continue playing.
You know what?
I'm
Also,
gonna finish
what
this.
other
It's
move
been on
feels
my-
really good?
Oh, this is
been
hold
a-
on.
You know what move feels really good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. This,
Wait, is that the one where she like
Yeah, when
pecks
you-
out
when
in
you-
front of
yeah,
you?
yeah.
I thought it was more of like a kind
she
of thing.
comes out of your backpack and, like,
Nick, did you do the pyramid race in this one?
not
God,
yet.
that one's so
I
fucking
haven't-
hard.
I
I love
just
it.
started this
It's
for the
so
footage.
hard.
Like, I
Wait.
haven't finished this.
When you're doing the Kazooie run and
But-
Banjo's just like sitting there.
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
I have 100% at every world I've gone to yet, so I've done 4 worlds.
Yeah, the collectibles they're well tracked and they're pretty manageable.
Ooh.
See, I always sort of had a bad impression of this as a collectathon until I realized that all the stuff that's just kind of out in the world is just sort of ammo. and
Yeah.
it's not actually stuff you're supposed to collect. But when I
Correct.
was younger and I just saw all that shit everywhere,
Yeah.
like I thought,
You're-
like
you-
this is horse shit. I'm not gonna grab all this stuff. It wasn't until Donkey
only
Kong
thing you-
64 that they actually got really bad with
Yeah.
collecting.
And the only thing you
I
really
like
need to
Donkey
collect
Kong
is
64.
skulls.
You gotta shoot.
the,
You gotta shoot the eggs in his nose.
I like Donkey
All you
Kong.
gotta do is skulls, Jiggies, the
Jinjos.
the Jinjo. Okay, every
The
time I say
Jinjo.
Jinjo, I feel like I'm saying like a slur. Or something.
It sounds like a slur.
Yeah.
It totally does.
Of
Yeah.
what? Of whom?
You don't even say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nick, also the music notes.
Oh yeah, and the music notes. But like they're all very manageable, and it's always the same number in every single level, so you
Yeah.
know exactly how many you got to collect, which is nice going in. But yeah, this game is so
So
fun.
good.
And
then you're
it's cool
flying.
because the rare replay collection looks and plays great, and it has both Banjo and Banjo Tooie on there, and Nuts and Bolts. Right? Is it Nuts and Bolts on the rare replay collection?
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it is.
If it's not,
Yeah. Chris Davis says yes. I
okay.
think people in chat.
Have you
Chris
played
Davis.
Nuts and Bolts?
I have
Nick?
I've never.
Dude, Nuts and Bolts is
Dude,
so fucking
I haven't
good.
played. This is the first Banjo I've ever
It's very
played.
different. Though.
Like, well, no, it's
is
an
the first
extremely
Banjo
different
most of
game.
us have played.
I will say that please give Nuts and Bolts a try.
Oh,
It is just
I
it's
plan.
it's one of those things where it had a lot of issues when it first came out because of the screen size and stuff like that, the text and all that, whatever. And people were just kind of upset because it's very different from previous
Yeah.
Banjo games. But it has its own uniqueness that's
Yeah.
just delightful. Just fucking building. I spent so many hours in that game just building fucking crazy rocket plane boat cars and shit.
What's amazing about Nuts and Bolts is like has nothing to do with what's amazing about this game, to be
Correct.
honest, but it is amazing.
Yeah. Well, I will say I had one little funny gem that happened while we were playing. While I was playing this, because Robin came home and we were like, and it was right when I went up to talk to Gruntilda's sister, the witch, and the whole game she's like telling you secrets about Gruntilda, and I was just like,
Remember all of those, Nick.
yeah, I know.
Robin's just gonna help him cheat.
She's just gonna Google it.
First of all, she fucking came in and she's like, "Oh, go back there. There's something back there." And she like told me. I was like, "How did you?" And she's like, "Yeah, I played the shit out of this game when I was younger." So, but I talked to Gruntilda's sister and I realized, oh, what if we replace Gruntilda with Donald Trump? And it worked so well, so well. The first thing out of her mouth was, "Gruntilda sleeps on a pile of money" or something every night. And I was just like, "Oh my god, it worked so beautifully." But yeah, Banjo
What are you
Kazooie's-
trying to say, Nick?
I'm saying it's fuck Donald Trump. That's what I'm trying to say. What the fuck do you think I'm trying to say?
Have you tried? Is the bee in this game or the second one? This one? Oh, I fucking love the bee.
The transformation.
Yeah, when
Oh,
you
yeah,
transform into a
Is
bee.
it better than the Super Mario Galaxy bee transformation?
Yes.
Two is a very different game. Than
Yeah,
this as
2E
well.
is.
It's,
Well,
it's a
I
weird series.
This one also has the pumpkin, right?
I'm very
Yeah,
interested
Pumpkin.
to try that
Pumpkin
one
doesn't
too.
do anything.
I know.
Very interested to keep playing this game. I don't know.
Love it.
I would love to play this again on the stream this month. I'm not entirely sure. I'm gonna be playing a little bit off the feed, but if I can fit in another stream before the end of the month, I will. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep playing it. So I might play it again in September.
You know what's
knows?
interesting? None of my games have ever been on the banners this month. Just a
No,
thought.
they were. Fallout was last week. I'm
Was
pretty
it?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fallout was
bitch.
last week.
Fallout was on
Was
the banner, and it's on all the promotional items I used for that episode.
Well,
after we
you know
released
what?
it.
I just don't
Bro.
remember.
None of
So
mine have either. So
You know what? It's because I hate both of you.
You
What do
didn't even
think?
play a game for that.
You know
for
what?
last week.
I know, and he
Let's
didn't even
talk about the Nintendo fucking 64.
this one right here.
The
Oh,
one-
you can't see it.
The
it's
one that you
censored.
can't see on the screen because no
This
one
is
got
a
a green
very
one.
rare edition. The clear.
No, this is so. Yeah, this was my N64. It still works. It's the I remember the day my mom brought it home. It was the Diddy Kong's Racing bundle.
Oh my god, I love Diddy Kong Racing
and
so
Diddy
much.
Kong Racing was the only game I had for about 4 months.
That's the only game you needed for 4 months.
And I fucking love the shit out of it, and I played so much of it.
Hey, Chris Davis, can we get a fact check on when the N64 released? I can't remember when it was.
1996.
1996? I'm going to guess November 1996. That's my guess.
I mean,
Anyways,
that sounds about right.
so yeah, we had, what was it?
September 26, 1996 in the United States.
September 26th,
That's when I got my
1996.
Well, for Christmas.
So, Brad, do you want to lead this discussion at all?
Well, I mean, so, like last week, I say we talk a little bit about, where we got our start with the Nintendo 64.
Did everybody have an
Before we go
N64?
into some of our favorite games, I was not a Nintendo 64 kid.
Heathen.
I fucking hated the Nintendo 64 after, because, I couldn't get one. My parents couldn't find one. Santa couldn't find one, so I got the PlayStation. So I became very anti N64. And it worked out in my favor
why-
because the PlayStation ended
Ask
up being
yourself
pretty
this,
dope.
Why didn't you become anti-Santa?
Well,
Don't take it out on the N64, man.
Well, it fit. The narrative fit because a lot of people were moving to PlayStation. Nintendo had kind of fucked over PlayStation. And PlayStation was getting all, the fucking games like Final Fantasy was a big one, right?
Yeah.
Of
Of course.
I had a Super Nintendo. I love Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 7 was like the biggest thing in my
We
fucking
were
life at
young
the time.
and stupid when these systems came out, so...
Yeah. And it was crazy because at school, everyone was talking about, Nintendo 64 came out. I was super jealous. The first time I played this Nintendo 64 was at my orthodontist. He had one just out in the fucking lobby, and it was the first time I had played one, and it was like Mario 64 and like Wave Race. It was like the most amazing shit I had ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? And ever since then, that's when I needed a 64. And I was a big Mario fan as well. I knew Zelda would eventually come out, and back then I mean, I don't know. But, I didn't get one, and that's sort of I became sort of a PlayStation guy back then because of this, out of spite.
Krispy, didn't you say last week that you were kind of the opposite? You ended up getting the N64 and didn't play much of the PlayStation? Did I remember that correctly?
I had a PlayStation, and basically I got the PlayStation I think right around the time that I got the N64.
Oh, okay.
And by the time I got the N64, I had other friends who had like N64s but didn't have PlayStations. So like they had a bunch of N64 games. I ended up playing a bunch of those with them, and then I kind of just became a N64 kid.
Yeah.
I see the N64 kid was like a slur for me back then.
Jesus, Brad.
Brad took this shit seriously.
Well, because, it seems so much more childish, and like grown-up games were coming out on the PlayStation, and
Would you call Jet
way
Force
more
Gemini
games
a
were-
child's game?
yeah.
Brad was fucking naive.
I call it a bad one. No, I wasn't naive. I mean, I was fucking right ultimately. I mean, the N64 did not have an amazing, like, plentiful library. It had a few really amazing games.
Like every Nintendo product or
No, I think
system that ever came-
64 was the worst out of.
Wow.
Well, the Wii U had some issues, right? But in terms of like
Understatement.
the library and the overall lifetime of a product, I would easily take GameCube over 64, maybe
Really?
even like Wii and
Sunshine over Mario 64, huh?
well, if we don't let's not go compare title to title. I mean, that's not fair, but what I'm saying is overall third-party support, the competitors at the time, like what PlayStation was offering was just, for me, was just a lot better. And even when it was the point where I obtained a 64.
Well, you were seeing two systems that were both tackling 3D for the first time. And they were taking it in different approaches, especially in terms of hardware. You had one that was going for, was programming and coding and stuff and putting it on a disc, and then we had N64 that was running everything off of cartridges still. And then you got to look at the controllers.
I'm just saying, back then I wasn't jealous of much. Ocarina of Time, I was jealous of.
Ocarina of Time changed my life.
Okay.
Quite literally.
No, I could
Quite
understand.
literally. Like,
I think it changed a lot of people's lives. That
think
was an insane game.
If it was not for the release of Ocarina of Time, I don't know if I'd be as into gaming as
But
I
I mean,
am
in that
now.
regard, so did like Mario 64.
Yeah, Mario
Like, holy shit. Like, that game was fucking amazing when it came out. Like, there was nothing really like it. We did a Project M a couple of years ago. Who won that? Project
Shut
M?
up, Nolan. Jerk face.
But no, there were so many games on this. GoldenEye?
Okay,
Fucking
so
Mario Kart?
so-
There were so many good games for this system.
my first memory of the N64, before I actually had one in my possession, was going to a Walmart, and they had a demo for Turok 2: Seeds of Evil on there, which in retrospect, I'm looking back and thinking like, wow, they put that in a Walmart? That's fucking gory as hell. But I played that, and I was like, I have to get one of these things. I'm honestly trying to remember like the timeline of like when I played versus when I got the N64. But I remember getting an N64, and the first game I got with it was Super Mario 64, and it was incredible. But like the most nostalgic memory I think I have, outside of playing Turok 2 for the first time in a Walmart, was finding out ahead of time that my parents got me GoldenEye 64 for Christmas, but I found out like a week before Christmas, so I had to like wait. And then we were planning on going out of town, so we went to Ohio to my grandparents' house, and I already had the N64, so I took it with me, knowing that I was going to get GoldenEye. I got GoldenEye on Christmas, but my grandparents were grumpy people. They didn't want me playing the N64 on their TV in the living room, so they made me go into the basement where they had a bar downstairs and like a a living area downstairs and a TV, so I had to go down there and play it.
Dungeon.
But nobody wanted to go down. Yeah, I had to go into my grandparents' sex dungeon to play my N64. But nobody wanted to go downstairs. All the adults wanted to hang out upstairs, so I had to go down there, and the place was creepy as shit. And I had to play, but I sat there in the dark and I played GoldenEye 64 from beginning to end on over the course of that weekend while I was in Ohio. So
Damn.
such an amazing.
Remind me to go back to this, but I want to know what terrible decisions y'all made as far as 64 game pickups back then. Because I'm pretty
just
sure
like
it's a bad one.
fucking Perfect Dark, Star Fox
thing
64, Conker's Bad Fur Day.
I do
back
really
in the
like
day-
Perfect
Paper
Dark.
Mario, the Pokemon Stadium, dude, holy shit. Dude, I remember when Pokemon Stadium came out, I went to a mall. It was a mall I'd never been to because they were doing a Pokemon tournament, like a Game Boy game Pokemon tournament. And the winners of the tournament got to take their Game Boy cartridges, put them in the adapter to have their Pokemon go into Pokemon Stadium. So they got to see their Pokemon play, and you got to finish the final rounds of the
With your
tournament
Pokemon.
in Pokemon Stadium. And that was like the fucking coolest shit in the world. I got to see my Charizard in 3D fighting. And the thing was, I lost in one of the I got pretty far. I beat multiple rounds, but then I lost, and I was like, oh man, it sucks. And the thing was, it was my birthday. I was playing this on my birthday and I lost, and the guy was
And your
like,
birthday was ruined.
yeah, and the guy was like, oh, it's your birthday? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, fuck it, man, come on, let's put you on the N64. And he fucking still took my cartridge, and I got to play on the Pokemon Stadium on the huge screen.
Dude.
Dude.
Yeah, Pokemon Stadium was when I got my N64, I think.
Yeah.
It was right before that came out, because that was I remember Pokemon Stadium kind of being one of the first games that I was ever anticipating.
Ah.
This was still so 98, I'm 10 years old. I wasn't really a hobbyist gamer yet. I had video games that I played
Yeah.
as just a thing, but it wasn't really something that I thought of as being a main interest hobby kind of thing.
Yeah.
I played a lot of Game Boy back then, and I played Pokemon like crazy.
Yeah.
That's why I was excited about Pokemon Stadium.
Sure.
And I had an N64, and I would play things I had a few games that I just played religiously. So I played a shit ton of Rogue Squadron. I played a shit ton of Mario Kart. I used to play a lot of Wave Racer. Because I just had that. I don't know why.
I think I told someone last week that I never played Rogue Squadron, and I think I looked it up and saw screenshots of it. I was like, I think I actually did play that.
Everyone played
Yeah,
every Star Wars
everyone
game back
played
then.
I did not.
You're not a Star Wars?
I never played Star Wars on N64.
Not
a
even
lot of
Shadow of the
those-
Empire?
Nope. Never played it.
Shadows of the Empire. That's
Dude,
the
Shadow-
game that
Do
made
you know
me
why?
want a
This
Nintendo 64.
for this console, I had 6 games. Like I said, I could name 10 games that were great, but what I'm saying is I had such a when I was growing up, every time I got a video game console, I got 4 or 5 games tops for that console.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the PS2 when I was buying my own games that I actually got games.
Which that was the PS1 for me. So.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so even my SNES and my N64, I barely had any games for them. My PlayStation as well.
You can tell how young we were when I go back and look at my N64 collection, which is only 6 games, 7 games, like you said, Nolan. And I turn over the cartridges and my name is written on the back in permanent marker.
Yeah.
What the fuck was I doing?
Yeah.
Ruining these games. What I was doing.
But yeah, so I honestly,
Make
I
sure
do.
chumps didn't steal them.
Yeah,
I did that all the fucking time.
I do remember when Donkey Kong 64 came out, and I was very excited for that game. I love the fucking rap. DK, Donkey Kong.
He's the
leader of
the bunch.
Kong is here. But anyway,
My God.
and you don't remember that fucking rap?
No.
I remember that rap, and I
That's so good.
never even played that.
It fires and spurts. If it shoots you, it's gonna hurt. Hey,
But yeah, so and the thing was, I remember that game. You needed the N64 expansion cartridge.
Yeah.
Do you remember how much memory that added?
64 megs.
That one thing was a joke.
Wait, was it 30 meg? Wait, no.
4 megabytes.
Oh,
What?
4 megabytes.
4, and it doubled the N64's RAM from 4 megabytes to 8
Very few
megabytes of
games
RAM.
really even took advantage of that. And
Yeah.
there were some that required it, like
Holy
Perfect Dark
shit.
and Majora's Mask.
Just think about
4
that.
megabytes.
4 megabytes of RAM, doubling it, and just that's what the fuck?
Jesus.
That's redonkulous.
I just watched
That makes sense.
like kind of a retrospective about that expansion cart recently. There was one high profile N64 game that came with it. I guess it was Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, Donkey Kong 64. When
but-
you bought it, you could buy the extra one that came with the expansion card. Yeah,
But the history is that expansion pack allowed them to fix a bug in the game, and that's the only reason.
Really?
It used it. It was easier and cheaper just to package it with the
game on the cartridge,
or
together?
like than to fix the bug at the time based on like their timeline to get the game out. Yeah, it was a weird.
Game development was a very different animal back then.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
For sure. So like I didn't get mine till later. Like I think I was in college before I got my 64. But I went back and I played some games that, some classics. I really liked Perfect Dark, even though I was never a huge GoldenEye fan.
Oh man.
I mean I always
I was the opposite. Barely touched Perfect Dark, couldn't stop playing.
I think one of the reasons I never felt super compelled to get a 64 outside of the fact that I had a PlayStation and it was so much doper. It was the fact that everyone had a 64 and you would just go over to a friend's house and play
no, that is true.
GoldenEye
Dude,
all night and Mario
That's
Kart.
like that was one of the that was N64 was the system where like I didn't own any of the Temple titles, but I played all of them
Yeah.
just because everybody had it.
So what were I mean I'm sure y'all made some bad purchases.
Well, the thing is,
we
back
didn't
in-
talk about
I
this.
didn't really make purchases.
No,
like
yeah.
I had to.
Or bad rentals.
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind for me would be like
Oh,
Pokemon.
I got
Snap,
one for
maybe,
you.
But I enjoyed that.
I played a shit ton of those fucking Army Man games.
Ah, there you go.
Those
There
were
you
on
go.
PS1 and on
Yeah.
N64.
Oh, Quest 64. I didn't buy that, but I rented it, and I was like, nope.
Yeah, that's a bad video game.
That's
But like that was such a joke back. It was like a meme back then because the 64 had no RPGs. And like 64 was like, "Oh, we finally have an RPG." And it was like a fucking joke. And obviously the PlayStation was
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the
Fucking
PlayStation was where you went for RPGs.
Toast Points in chat says my worst rental was Buck Bumble, and I fucking loved
Buck Bumble.
I fucking loved Buck Bumble. It was up there for me with Jet Force Gemini, man.
I remember too, like when the 64, like I guess pretty close to launch, everyone was talking about like Beetle Adventure Racing,
What?
where it was a game where you're actually driving like licensed Volkswagen Beetles.
What?
But it was, and like I was like, we had like Gran Turismo.
Was this like around the time that they
And
reintroduced?
I was like, are y'all fucking kidding me with this shit?
Was that around the time that they like introduced the new like Volkswagen?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, Beetle
yeah.
or Bug or whatever.
They brought back the bug.
My mom
Oh
had one of
man,
those
some
cars
people
for
swear
years.
by that game. I looked up some footage of it recently, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Here's-
But the things it did really well. It did really well. There just wasn't a ton of those games, And yeah, we can name off 10 or even 20 amazing games on the 64, but you could do the same for the PlayStation in a single year. You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
just it was a different time.
I agree that I think that system really didn't hold up
Well,
as
here's-
well as
well, the
others.
controller. Let's
Yeah,
talk
okay.
about the fucking controller.
That's all I want to say is like, never in my life have I played a system that I loved so vehemently.
Right, when you
like,
didn't know
loved
any
so
better.
much at the time. It is unplayable.
Yeah.
Now, I went back and tried to hold an N64 controller in my hand, play a fucking video game with that controller, and I could not do it.
It's a shame.
It is a garbage. Like even the Dreamcast controller has aged
the
better.
stick was so bad and it hurt. It hurt.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it did hurt. Made your thumb go like
How
the-
fucking like
rubbed it
huge
raw.
that stick was. Like it was like that fucking long. Like
Yeah.
and it takes like a week for it to go like
Yeah.
flaccid. Like
It
where
is-
it just kinda,
yeah.
limps
Oh my
around.
god. If that never happened to any of my controllers, maybe because I didn't use
Oh,
them
man,
quite
happened to
enough.
every one of them.
But like, yeah, friends of mine had controllers like that, and it was like if you got stuck with that controller, you were just like, I don't want to fucking play Smash Bros.
Every single
controller.
every single McDonald's I went to that had the N64 setup always had the fucking fucked up joystick.
Stick,
Yeah.
Remember those,
it is inexpensive and really easy to swap out a stick on a 64 controller. So I recommend if you still have a 64 and could hook it up, like order like a replacement stick online. It's you just unscrew it, snap it in. It's so fucking easy.
But one of my I can't remember any bad purchases, but I do remember like some of my favorite ones, like fucking Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 with the blue cartridge. Just the fact that the cartridge was blue was so cool.
Do you
Colored
remember when
cartridges
Pokemon,
were kind of
when
the bomb back then.
Pokemon Stadium 2 came out? It was a gold and silver cartridge.
Yeah.
Kidding.
That shit was fucking dope.
Yeah, there would be the occasional port from PlayStation. that were a little late. Like Mega Man Legends got
Mega Man
ported as Mega
Legends,
Man
yeah.
64. Like Resident Evil got ported. Resident Evil 2, I mean,
Dude.
got ported to 64. And like some of those versions were actually pretty cool. Because Mega Man Legends, Mega Man 64, even though it was Legends 1, had some of the control and camera improvements that Legends 2 had, making it maybe a more playable version of that game.
Fucking having to swap out the batteries in the Rumble Pack. I remember that shit.
Holy shit!
Because you had to fucking the detachable Rumble Pack, and then it took like AA or AAA batteries. Yeah.
Somebody in chat told me something ridiculous about the N64 version of Resident Evil 2, and I can't remember what it was.
Ooh,
it was something that I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
There was some weird stuff in that version of the game.
Down incredibly.
Yeah, they must have.
Yeah, like the cutscenes and stuff were like really
Only the cutscenes
like compressed.
Yeah,
It's only one scenario.
I can't even imagine trying to play that game with an N64 controller.
Yeah,
especially with like tank controls and shit.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially because you couldn't, even though the controller had a D-pad, a lot of the games didn't actually support the D-pad for movement or anything really. In a lot of games, it just did nothing.
They really wanted you to use that.
So,
dude, I'm looking through this list. There actually weren't that many games that needed the extra 4 megabytes.
No.
Yeah, no.
It was like Donkey Kong 64,
Majora's
Mask needed
late.
it. Perfect Dark only needed it for story mode.
Oh, yeah.
And then a bunch of other games that just like higher res textures, but those are the only games that had to have it.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the games that use that for higher res textures, the frame rate was taking a hit. So it's like, yeah.
Oh my god!
It was a
Top
bad
Gear enables high res option, increasing resolution to 640 by 480.
Oh my god!
Which was impressive at this
Okay.
And we all had square TVs.
Yeah.
Real quick, one thing I want to say. One of the first memories I have of doing this podcast, period, ever, before we were even actually recording the podcast on the regular, was when David was trying to see if I was interested in doing this kind of thing. He's like, "Come over and let's record ourselves talking about Shadows of the Empire," and we played the game.
Oof.
Again, and then we were like, "What the fuck is this is unplayable."
Yeah.
This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is funny because back when I had to get Dark Forces instead of that, I thought I was getting the raw deal.
But here's the thing.
But in hindsight, it was the better deal.
I have so many fond memories of Shadows of the Empire. I love that game back in the
that-
day. But
that is pure
again,
nostalgia.
like any other game on the N64, it's practically unplayable.
Shadows of the Empire is just like on any level. Whether you want to take it as like a video game,
bad.
or like as an expansion of the Star Wars extended universe, or as a novel,
I don't even-
or as anything like all bad.
Oh!
It's all bad. It's all bad.
I love that book, you son of a
It's
bitch.
all fucking terrible. I read it when I was in like I read it when I was in middle school, and I really liked
I
it
read
at the time.
twice.
And I really liked it when I read it when I was a kid.
It
It did
who
not
reads
hold
that
up.
kind of book twice.
I read like so many of the Star Wars books back in the day, more than once. All right, anyways, why don't we close this out by quickly just and not picking. I don't want to say like our favorite games. There'd be so many obvious answers here. Are there any like honorable mentions for like games you think were maybe underappreciated? On
Well,
the system?
so I'll say this: there is a sequel to Ogre Battle called Ogre Battle 64, Persons of Lordly Caliber, on the Nintendo 64, and it is I have actually never played through it, but I know it is well received, and I did love the original Ogre Battle. But I think at the time, Matsuno didn't direct, and I was being a bit of a snob. Also, I didn't like the Nintendo 64, but I hear
don't say.
that game eventually got released digitally on the Wii U. So even though the cart is pretty expensive, and a lot of people aren't playing N64s these days, physical N64s, you can get Ogre Battle 64 for like $8 on the Wii U, and that's a great way to play that game.
Cool. Nolan?
That's tough. I mean, like I said, I had a small selection. I don't remember. Yoshi's story was bad, right?
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's probably bad.
I
but
think I remember enjoying it, but I also,
played
in
that game start to
hindsight,
finish.
thinking about it, I think I remember it being like not the best. In all honesty,
It's a terrible video game.
Chris Davis didn't like it apparently. I mean, I will say I do have.
So is Mario 64.
I do have fond memories of Smash.
It's the worst Mario Kart. Mario Kart. What did I say?
You
said
said Mario
64.
64. I was about to slap
Mario
you.
Kart 64
Okay,
is the
gotcha.
worst Mario Kart.
Oh
Gotcha.
my god.
I do have a lot of fond memories, I will say, of Smash. Me and my neighbor would
Yeah.
play that game for fucking hours
Oh, yeah.
and hours. Honestly, out of all the 64 games I played, I probably put more hours into that than anything else. And then when you look back at that game, holy shit, the textures were so low and the
Yeah.
environments were so
It
bland.
was fucking cool, though,
But at the
man.
time, yes, when fucking Link is
Yeah.
fighting Mario and fucking Donkey Kong's there and you got Pikachu, like, dude, that game was like, it was so intense. But yeah, like, I don't think there's too many games.
Did you ever play South Park? That game was like rancid shit, but I almost
So-
wanted to track down a copy for.
played it.
I didn't play it back
for
in the
this
day.
month.
When I was at UT,
This is 98 game.
my organization on campus, we had a room, and in there we had a bunch of old consoles, and one of them was the 64, and we did have South Park in there. So back in maybe 2010, I did play it. Yeah, definitely not the
great.
best game.
Yellow
Not great.
Snowball.
Yeah, the yellow snowballs and the turkeys and stuff, but yeah, it was not the best game.
Crispy, do you have an honorable mention for the N64?
Dude,
Hold on, sorry. I will say I was saying Yoshi's Story was bad. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. I fucking love the shit out of that game. But yeah, Crispy, what'd you like?
man, I gotta give it to the fucking Rogue Squadron.
Fair enough.
That game was like my life for a couple of years. I fucking loved Rogue Squadron. I played the shit out of that game over and over and over again. I like every ship I like unlocked all the fucking secret like stupid codes. Like there's one where you're flying around like an old like 60s Cadillac and it had like a little disco ball rear view mirror thing. It was fucking dope, man. That game was cool.
What about the made-up ships? You didn't love those, right?
Dude, okay, so like there was a point in my life
Q-wing.
where like where I was one of those like pedantic like Star Wars nerds where it was like I was into like everything Star
Even
Wars.
Shadow of the
like,
Empire?
I like yes, I used to be really into Shadow of the Empire. I used
Kyle
to be really
Katarn?
into like Kyle Katarn. I used to be really into like all the extended universe stuff, and it was all equally valid to me. I couldn't see like why the movies were maybe of like a better substance than everything else, you know? And that shit, like all the made up shits, like the V-Wings, I was like, oh my god, these are cool. These are so fucking dope. I hope these show up in a movie, you know? Like, dude, I don't know. Like, that game hit me at a time, like, it hit me at the right age when I was, like, just young and dumb enough to, like, be all about it. And I totally was. And it was so good.
You're a bastard.
Pre-episode 1, 2, and 3. Pre-episode 1. Like, Star Wars had some bad video games, but you always wanted them, you know?
Yeah.
Although Rogue Squadron was very well
It didn't
received.
matter what kind of shit they were shoveling out. Like, I was
I thought Masters
give
of
it- give it
Terras
all.
Kasi was like the coolest. I didn't buy it, but I played demos
Dude,
of it,
I
and it
rented
was
that
trash.
game.
Like I love Tekken and Street Fighter and stuff.
Yeah.
But I played that thinking it was the coolest shit because Luke had a lightsaber,
Dude.
and fucking
And you could play as
Chewie had a
Boba Fett.
bowcaster,
And he had his fucking, like, rockets and the flamethrower.
but
and
it was
everything.
terrible. Fucking
I have
Star
two
Wars.
honorable mentions. First one is Aero Fighters Assault.
What?
Yeah, I played the fucking shit out
The
of that
fuck
game.
is that?
It was this weird, like, I mean, it was probably
It was a Chris Davis game.
it was a Chris Davis game all the way, and
Was it like about like
and you were like,
seaplanes? What the
no,
fuck is Chris
you
Davis?
were fighting like flying like fighter jets, but you were taking down like Metal Gears, like giant floating Metal Gears in the sky. Like that game was cool, man. It probably doesn't hold up at all, but it was back in the day. I thought it was pretty cool. And I will also say, because you know how I feel about this series, and I don't think this one gets nearly enough mention, even though it's because it's not a great video game, especially compared to its predecessors, but it is still worth your time if you're a fan of the series, and that's Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion.
Never played it.
What? That's not a real video
Yes,
game.
Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion came out.
Did you play Rage
completely?
Wars?
I did play Rage Wars, but I wouldn't say it's a multiplayer game. I
Turok
wasn't
3.
Turok 3 Shadow. If you like Turok and Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, Shadow of Oblivion is not. It is the worst of those three, but it's also unique and fun in its own right, and I think it's worth playing. It's from the same team, I believe, that did Rage Wars, and I think Rage Wars had some validity to it as well, but it was a multiplayer focused game, and I just wasn't really into those games. I'm still not really into multiplayer games, as you know, but just figured I'd throw it out there and mention. I've been really kind of hoping that Night Dive Studios would go back and do a remaster of Turok 3 as well, but that's never going to happen because that game doesn't have nearly a big enough of a fan base. Anyways, that is our Nintendo 64 retrospective. I do love that system. I wish it was still playable. Like, legit, I wish it had a controller that was worth using. But next week, are we going to do another discussion?
Well,
next
so
week
no podcast next week. Next week we're gonna do like a group gaming night like we did earlier in the month. But the week after that, we might do another.
Well, so here's the thing.
What's the thing?
There was another console out.
I didn't.
There
have
was
it.
a handheld.
I didn't have it.
And there was PC stuff, which I know y'all didn't play back then.
We can still try to have a
I did,
conversation
I
about
played
it. I just
Baldur's
don't have.
Gate.
I didn't have a
too
PC.
much to contribute.
So we could just kind of lump those in together and talk about the rest of the kind of stuff we were playing in '98. I mean, I know y'all are playing Game Boys
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I had a Game Boy Color.
Yeah,
because
we may talk about Game Boy, PC stuff. Wasn't the other system?
the Sega Saturn. So I'm going to be
yeah.
playing some Sega Saturn stuff later this month.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good time to talk about it.
Sure. So,
Yeah,
like I
actually,
said,
yeah.
next week we're instead of doing a podcast, we're going to do another like open game night type thing where we're all going to be together playing games. So tune in for that. The week after that, though, it will be our final podcast of 1998 month, and we will talk about all the stuff we've played. Plus, we'll do a retrospective conversation. We talk about the Game Boy, Sega Saturn, PC gaming, all that stuff from the late 90s. So tune in for that. Now, without further ado, let's jump straight into Patreon questions because we are running a little low on time. So let's move right along, Nolan.
Okay.
Take it away.
So no new patrons this week. That's all right because we do still love our current patrons.
We do
who
love our current
have
patrons.
asked us some questions. So let's get to those. Every week we post a thread on Patreon. We can ask us any question you want as long as you are a patron who donates $1 or more. And this week our first question comes from Zero Skies. What older games from 1998 month or others you have played were too ahead of their time and implemented game designs that were not accepted well, but the concept was brilliant?
Ooh. Jesus.
That's a tough question.
From 1998.
So they were ahead of their time and they weren't received well because of that, but like were later adopted as
Well, some of the
No,
stuff I
so-
mentioned in Brave Fencer Musashi with like Time of Day and like Tired. Well, that stuff was pretty cool. Ahead of their time.
Man, tough
No, that was.
I keep thinking I was like, oh, what about this? And then I was like, wait, that was pretty well received. I feel like 98 it was kind of hard to be ahead of your time in 1998 because that was like right on the cusp of like 3D game development and everything, and like pretty much anything that was introduced at the time was received, like technique wise was received pretty well because it was like everybody's finding new ways to do 3D.
There was this like
3D
huge wave of refinement in game design.
Yeah, everything was a step forward.
Yeah.
I feel like.
He says it doesn't have to be 98. He says what older games from 98 or others?
Oh, well,
suddenly-
I guess we should keep it in the 90s at least.
Mm-hmm.
Ahead of their time. It's a good question, but it's.
I have so much Resident Evil in the brain. I'm thinking about Resident Evil, but that was pretty well received too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
the time?
that doesn't have to mean not well.
In terms of
received,
like
just
tank
means
controls and the openness of like
maybe like mechanic
the
or
awkward
systems that
puzzle
were
design and stuff. I'm not.
we're not didn't really blow up back then, but maybe would have if it came out a little bit later. It's a good question.
That's a tough one.
I don't have any answers.
We might have to think about that one and circle back to it if we
I
find
would
anything,
say, I guess the maturity of something like a story like Suikoden 2 has was maybe ahead of its time back when people were enjoying kind of, grim, dark, spiky-haired kids, saving the world. This was a very different kind of story, and Suikoden 2 was not like a big hit, and even critics kind of were like,
not sure what to make of
nothing
it.
special. The graphics are old. It's just.
What?
I think-
Suikoden 2
What
looked
about
beautiful.
what about fucking
Looking
yeah.
back, it's
what
easy
about
to
things
say
like
that, but-
Rainbow Six? Like I played a lot of that on the N64,
Yeah,
and I think that might have been.
but the thing is,
it was super complicated because you're having to like plan your routes through levels and stuff, and it was very cooperative and that kind of thing. And maybe that was a bit ahead of its time. If you go a little bit further down the road, SOCOM, which was one of the first games I can remember playing, where it was like trying to do online shooters and playing online, like that was like just trying to get a connection and play an online shooter with other people on the PS2 at that time was like a huge pain in the ass.
Dude, the original Monster Hunter too.
Yeah.
'Cause that had,
yeah,
that had
that's
like
a good one.
optional online.
Yeah.
but that
in
was, like, the whole-
1998,
Anything early online was
Metal
nuts.
Gear Solid was very ahead of its time
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, and just to have that much like of a narrative focus in a game that's not an RPG, and to have such like this directorial eye to all the cutscenes, and not just the cutscenes, but like the in-engine stuff and the way the camera would move around was very like no one was doing stuff like that.
No,
back then,
no.
which is what I think put Metal Gear Solid on the map, especially like with just the quality of like voice acting and localization back then was not the norm.
Yeah.
So even though that is a very well received game, and it was certainly ahead of its time
No,
in a lot
definitely.
of ways.
All right, let's move on. Next question from Mr.
Half-Life
Green
as
Toast. Since games in a long-running series tend to try to improve graphics and switch up gameplay, they sometimes might lose track of what made them stellar or original. What modern game series could you see a demake of into a more retro or old-school style in the vein of 1998 or early 90s?
Dude,
Shooters. I would say a lot of modern shooters kind of forgot where they came from. You know, and games of this era, of the 90s, I still feel like those shooters have much better, like, level design.
I was
like,
way
it's
more
more
into shooters than I am now. for
complex
sure.
and interesting. Like exploration was one of the hooks to a shooter. Just like your most fucking Neanderthal, I'm just gonna kill everything shooter back then still had like way more
Duke Nukem.
complex level design than you see these days. It's like a different focus, you know. But they became so focused on like telling a story.
That's why Doom 2016 was so well received, because it was very much kind of like
Yeah, it was a
classic in terms of
throwback
its level
to you
design.
know like interesting, like hard to find secrets and stuff, and you know like shooters got away from that for a long time, and it's nice to see Doom doing that again. But yeah, give me you know the demake of I don't know what's some fucking modern shooter that's not open world. Give me the modern demake of any popular shooter in like the Doom engine, because it would like immediately be better, in my opinion.
That's a tough question.
I know I keep saying Resident Evil, but you know, and Resident Evil 7 was a step in that direction. I wouldn't call that a demake. Obviously, I would call that a kind of a soft reboot of the franchise, but it was definitely like harkening back to more classic tropes from earlier Resident Evils. Like, I'll be honest, like I think it would be really cool if like Resident Evil 8 came out and it looked like a more modern version of like Resident Evil 2 or something, you know, but like it used the tank controls and
What do you mean, like pre-rendered backgrounds? And
yeah,
stuff?
maybe what would that even look like if they tried to use those same techniques
I
today?
mean, pre-rendered backgrounds today would just be like pictures of actual real life.
But I mean, it doesn't have to be pre-rendered, but like
Yeah.
just the fixed camera angles and like you know the top-down kind of camera angles and tank controls. Like, go back, like what would it be like to make a Resident Evil game today? Like not remake one or re-release one or whatever, but like make a brand new story, brand new characters, whatever in the Resident Evil universe, and like design it like you were building Resident Evil 1 or 2 or 3, where you have the fixed camera angles, you have tank controls, like you have the pacing is kind of the same. That, you know what I mean? Like that would be really interesting. Like bring back classic zombies. Like
Give me a Tomb Raider
would be cool.
demake. Give me a Shadow of the Tomb Raider demake.
sure.
Dude, these are hard questions.
Where it controls like old Laura, and the level geometry caters to controlling old Laura. That'd be cool.
yeah, I
that'd be
don't
cool.
got nothing for this one
I
either.
did watch that video you posted, the one from Rock Paper Shotgun about Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
A little more excited about it too after watching that. That's off topic. Sorry.
All right, moving on. Next
Next
question
question.
from Fuzzy Turd. Back in '98, most of you guys were old enough to have had your first boner. Brad being old enough to have had his last. I'd like to know which sexy video game character brings back youthful memories of intense desire. No cheap responses like Laura Croft. Something relatively original.
Why is that cheap?
I don't know.
Relatively around.
Given that I was born in '99, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker was released around the same time as my dropping balls. So Cecil, Cosma, Commandees. I don't remember that character. Well, that was the
Wait,
girl,
from
right?
what game?
Peace Walker. Was that the blonde girl?
I don't
Wait, what's
understand
the
what you said.
Yeah, I don't remember her name. Cecil.
Paz?
Was it?
Paz
No, not
was
Paz. That was the girl, the blonde girl? Paz?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know who this character is then. Especially after you get to unlock her underwear character model, Kojima knows how to do jiggle physics. What, Crispy?
No.
I would say on a related
I just
note,
don't remember who this character is in this game.
Farakin says Cecil
But can you
Cosima-
spell it? I'm not.
Cecile.
Cecil.
Cecil?
Cecile.
Cecile.
Cecile. Sorry. All the people.
Jesus.
Well, it sounds
if
like
there are
Cecil.
Ceciles out there listening to our show right now, we're sorry
She
for
was the
butchering
lady
your
you
name.
not a
spent a
common
lot of time
name.
with early on in the game.
Okay, I
Right.
don't remember.
Cecile Cosima Caminades. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't played Peace Walker.
Oh, she was the like South American like resistance girl. Okay, I got it. I got you now.
Same page.
All right, Fuzzy
on a
Turd. I
related note,
remember.
Kojima, I think one of the earliest ones I can remember is probably the first time looking down in the vent in the original Metal Gear Solid when you first meet Meryl, and she's doing she's doing sit-ups. But she's not
Oh
wearing
no,
any
it's not
pants.
about that. It's when you see her in the bathroom later on, and she takes her pants off, and she's
But
like
she was
changing.
not wearing pants either when she was when you look out into the vent, she's not wearing pants.
No, I know that, but I mean that's like a very brief moment. I'm saying later on, the conversation in the bathroom lasts a lot longer.
I don't remember that. It's been a while.
Well, sorry, Farrakhan, I don't remember. Talking about difference. Anyway,
I had GameCube, Soul Calibur 2, Taki.
Soul Calibur. Brad's just nodding.
Yeah, Soul Calibur. For whatever, Soul Calibur 2 is when I really started to notice that they cared about.
That girls were different than boys.
No. It was the first time that a character
They're
model
like-
in a video game was like
moved.
she's moving in ways that I have not seen a character model do. With the exception of the original Dead or Alive, which you might think like modern Dead or Alive is like crazy, like booby jiggles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like it was so comical. The original Dead or Alive on PS1, the way the boobs would just like
Oh,
doing,
yeah.
doing, doing. It was hilarious.
older
I
games are
loved
pretty
it.
bad. What about like Custer's Revenge? No, I'm just kidding.
my last, I'll mention Claire Redfield from Resident Evil 2. I always had a thing for her.
So once again, I'm trying to think of games
But that's
I
not
owned.
like bonerific.
I mean,
right?
she's wearing like shorts and.
But for some
wearing a
reason,
leather jacket, riding a motorcycle.
the girl from Jet Force Gemini had like a mini skirt and like
But she's like a.
Oh God, she was so gross though.
I don't remember.
Wait, the girl from Jet Force Gemini?
yeah,
Someone pull up a picture right now.
Original design, not the.
Also talking
not
about
the character model. Yeah, like
What
the
about the
artwork. I
creepy ass
guess.
fairies
Oh.
from Ocarina of Time?
Oh, the like the God fairies or whatever. Yeah, the fairy fountain
Great
fairies.
fairies.
Yeah,
I got
great
something
fairies.
from
Yeah.
'98. The woman on the cover and in the magazine ads, especially for Forsaken.
I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I know
Though
what
that
you're
was a
talking
real life.
about. That was a
lady.
real lady. But I know exactly what you're talking. Wasn't she like? She's like wet.
What?
Oh,
the
she was
fuck?
wet. Yeah.
Okay, she's wet.
She was not in the
Making sure
video
I wasn't
game.
missing
There is
something.
nothing about a lady like that in that video game. It is just a Descent clone.
Wasn't she wet?
Yeah.
All right, let's
She had
move on.
moisture on her.
Let's move on.
Could've been
Necro Techno asks, "What's your favorite movie that came out in '98?" Mine is either Truman Show or Godzilla.
I
Dude,
have
there
to
were
see
so
a
many good
list.
games.
Everyone's was Titanic.
Rush Hour.
Wait,
No.
did that come out in '98?
That won Best Picture.
Rush Hour.
It won all the Oscars. in
Rush
19.
Hour was such a good movie.
Hey, you know what? I'll give it to Titanic. That's like
Oh,
got to see
stop it.
boobies in that movie.
Actually, I guess.
No,
it
that
came out in
wasn't
97.
Titanic year.
I'm pretty sure it was.
That wasn't Titanic. It's not.
The '98 Oscars.
Saving Private Ryan, that was 98. Truman Show.
Mulan.
Oh,
Rushmore. Enemy of the State.
Yeah, because I think what won? It was Shakespeare
98
in Love won in 1998.
No. The 1998 Oscars, the 70th Academy Awards, the Best Picture was Titanic. So in '99.
Okay, but that was
for
in the
the 98
1998
movies.
movie.
Well, I'm just saying the '98 Oscars.
Wait, was the
Oh.
original Blade?
The Lost in Space
Oh,
movie.
I'm giving it to Blade all the way.
Armageddon.
When I was
A
kid,
Bug's
I
Life.
liked it.
The Big Lebowski. That's the best movie.
Oh,
in
Big Lebowski.
1998.
Yeah. Oh, The Avengers.
Rushmore. American History X.
The Avengers with Sean Connery and Uma Thurman.
No. You like that movie?
No. It's just funny when
Pleasantville.
someone's like, "Oh, The Avengers
Fear
came
and
out in
Loathing in
98."
I like Pleasantville. That's a good movie.
Pleasantville was all right.
But I think Blade's all the way.
Saving Private Ryan. That's a pretty fucking
yeah,
good
it's a
movie.
great movie.
Dark City. Rush Hour.
Now we're just naming movies. We're not even saying
Dude,
what
Rush
movies
Hour
are.
was
Wait,
so
Dark
good.
City's sick.
Prince of U.S. Marshals, the sequel to fucking
Okay.
The
Fugitive.
The
I saw that
Waterboy?
before I saw The Fugitive.
Waterboy.
Don't act like y'all didn't love The Water
The
Boy.
Man in the Iron Mask came out. maybe? Oh, man.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
Godzilla?
Next question
man.
from Shadow Step. If you could switch two movie characters, What Switch would lead to the most inappropriate movies?
Wait, say again.
that's a
If you
hard
could
one.
switch two movie
We
characters,
can't keep doing these questions if we're not gonna like read them.
we got to do
beforehand,
research.
then.
Yeah,
Like can't
James
keep
Bond and
screwing-
Austin Powers. No.
It would be inappropriate.
the most inappropriate.
I wish you would give an example.
Like as in like
inappropriate.
that casting doesn't work at all.
I
Or
guess
like
so. It would lead to the most inappropriate movies. is
Like
what the
if you
question
replaced Arnold Schwarzenegger in what was that? Mr. Mommy? What was the name of that shit? What was the name of that movie? There was
Mr.
a
Mom?
yeah, there was a Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom was not Schwarzenegger. That was what's his face?
There's a fucking movie
Hulk
where Arnold
Hogan? What'd you
Schwarzenegger
say,
gets
Chris
pregnant.
Hulk Hogan?
Wrestler. What's
It might not be called Mr. Mom, but there's a movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger gets pregnant.
Yes.
Junior.
Mr. Mom was Michael Keaton. Thank you, Big Wazoo.
What's the movie where Schwarzenegger gets pregnant?
Oh, that's that was with Danny DeVito.
No,
Junior.
Junior. Okay, you know what? I don't even remember what my fucking joke was anymore.
Okay, swap Bruce Willis in Armageddon with Bjork in Dancer in the Dark.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh my god. That's fucking horrible.
Oh man. I mean, he never said anything about having to be old. It can be modern too.
Bruce Willis. I'm kidding.
Swap the Hulk.
You said
with
inappropriate.
Leo from Titanic.
swap anybody with Mr. Bean?
Oh my god.
That
I
would
think-
be
I think-
one, wouldn't it?
If y'all think of an answer, bring it back up. But
I just
I think that's good
said
enough.
my answer.
I know that's a good one. That one works for all of us. I think Brad's answer wins. Do we have any other questions, Nolan?
Yeah, I was just trying to think of more answers. Anyway, next question from Chai. So you know we probably should have done research. You're given a time machine
Yep.
that will let you send a
I don't wanna play these
5-second
games.
recording to your 1998 self. They will know it's you, and they will be able to keep the recording, but it's only 5 seconds long. What do you tell yourself to improve the next 20 years of their life?
That warning that they give you before porn sites about this is illegal, it's bullshit. Don't worry about it.
5 seconds? You have 5-second recording?
Don't worry about it.
Dude, no. Because anything you send to yourself is gonna make your life worse.
What is that?
Because if you're trying to warn yourself about like a past failure or something,
I don't have any past failures.
yeah, okay, sure.
God damn it, Nolan. Yeah.
If you're trying to warn yourself about like possible pitfalls or perils in the years to come, like you trying to warn yourself to avoid them is just going to inevitably cause them to happen.
What if I was
That's why
just
you
like,
don't-
what if I was like, buy Apple stock?
Yeah, something like
No,
that.
it really.
In '98,
Yeah.
I think you missed the boat.
Google stuff.
Yeah, Google.
Yeah, that doesn't exist yet, but
Okay,
But when
it
you
doesn't
say-
have
no,
to
I
exist.
know, but that's what I'm saying.
That's like frequency. When
dude,
he's like
fucking-
I want you to remember this, which is funny just because if you watch Frequency, he's like I want you to remember one word, Yahoo, and he's like talking like Yahoo stock or something, but it's
Gave her the worst advice ever.
but hey, when Frequency came out, Yahoo was still big.
solar panel.
But then I'm sure my young self would be like, "What?" and I would just buy thousands of apples.
Bitcoin, wait for Bitcoin. Here's what
That's
you're
a good
gonna-
question. I don't want to like.
You're gonna buy $1,000
Skip it.
worth of Bitcoin and then forget you have it for 2 years, and then cash it.
I mean, that's why you don't warn yourself about something specific. You go with just like a life tip that will make your life easier. It's not about preventing something from happening. It's about just giving you information you would have otherwise had.
All right, Nick,
To like think.
make your life better in 5 seconds.
That's what
Go.
I opened with my answer.
What was it?
Those messages that they warn you about when you go to a
about-
porn site, they're bullshit.
That was like a big
About-
problem for you for a while.
that
Your
inter-
life. You
that
would
inter-
use fucking time travel to remove that issue from your life.
First of all, this is a bullshit question, so of course I'm going to give you a bullshit answer. Yes. It was,
That's
an inner struggle, man.
That's a
It
good
was
point,
scary.
Critta. I would probably tell myself, stop playing Pokemon. It's just going to be the same for the next 20 years.
I'd probably say like, "Fuck the 64," just to like, yeah, with my old 1998 self.
How about tell yourself to like not fall in love with Castlevania?
Well, you know,
Or was it too late at that
so
point?
so, like to warn yourself away from like maybe a relationship that went bad. You know, just don't even bother with this one. You know,
What if you? Yeah, I guess. You have to really remember that.
Write it down.
On December 13th, 1980, or like 2005, don't trust the fart.
What I'd probably actually do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're all playing a dangerous game, and nothing but bad things will come from
Okay,
even
so
attempting.
how about this? The most unlikeliest of like sports upsets that gave you the best odds if you bet on the games. I would just list off a bunch.
Have any of us ever bet on sports games in this room?
I would bet on a bunch of sports. I would list off a bunch of sports results.
You have 5 seconds, Brad.
That's just Back to the Future. You want to do back?
Yeah.
You want to give yourself.
Here's
the
an
Yeah,
almanac.
and it didn't work out in Back to the Future either.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't.
Wait. I've got it.
Did you see the second movie?
I mean, Biff was happy.
Is there anything we could have told ourselves about Twitch?
Ooh.
Was he though? He didn't seem like a happy
Okay,
guy.
we don't have to travel back far for that one.
I know, but like, what could we tell
I mean,
ourselves?
Scarecrow has a point. Send yourself just like one winning lottery number.
I mean, just like,
What could we tell ourselves? I mean, we were just ahead of our time. I don't know if we could tell ourselves something different.
play Fortnite.
No.
I don't know.
No, we already had Krispy acting like it was a gift from God before it even came out.
And now we hate it.
Don't get hyped for No Man's Sky.
What the fuck does that?
It was your game of the show.
What the fuck does
It
that?
was your E3
fucking
game of
mean?
the show.
Oh
Brad.
my god!
It was also one of my games of the show for that year as well, you piece of shit.
Yeah, but I didn't believe you. I believed Krispy.
Wow. Wow.
Did you?
How about I go back and tell myself not talk to that Brad guy? He's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you didn't talk to me, you probably
This,
wouldn't be here.
this question's going to ruin relationships. We need to move on.
This is like.
All right.
Is that our last
Let's
question?
move on. One more
Just
question.
warn yourself about 9/11. I don't fucking
Oh,
know.
Jesus.
Like,
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
but I wasn't anywhere near 9/11.
Yeah,
so what
actually,
does
none
it
of us
matter?
Or how about tell yourself to warn everybody about
Maybe.
And then what? Prevent 9/11?
Yeah!
And then what happens?
Wait, then you end up in prison for that because they can't figure out how you knew it was going to...
I'm gonna go back in time and tell myself, you know what? Don't watch The Apprentice.
Okay. Well, I guess I could tell myself don't watch, even as a joke, Suicide Squad.
Oh.
Because I hated my life. Anyway.
It doesn't.
Anyway.
Doesn't try.
Next final question for the evening from Taco and Quesadilla. What game had the best demo, but the worst full release?
Oh my god.
Brad's got an answer real quick.
Say again.
No.
He was saying hi in chat. Thanks, Dragon.
What game had
Wait, you
the-
didn't hear the question?
What
I
game
didn't
had
hear
the
the question.
best demo versus the worst release?
That is a good question.
That's a good one.
The worst demo.
Hmm.
Best
so like,
release. I got a
Gear
fucking
Solid
answer.
2, where you played
The
Solid
Beat-
Snake the whole time, and
The
then the
Beat
game comes out. and
Sketcher
you just play
demo
like-
was
That's the best,
amazing.
though.
fucking ninja.
The Beat Sketcher demo was amazing. The final release, they fucked something up. I
What is
hated it.
Beat Sketcher?
Yeah, I don't even know what Brad's talking about.
It's the PlayStation
Nobody
Move game
knows it
where I
failed.
can draw on the screen. All those videos I did back in the day were from the demo, but then they got rid of the demo version, which had
yeah.
much higher like camera quality for some reason, and like a musical track that wasn't in the final release. And I downloaded the final release eventually, and it like was terrible.
Do stage presentations count? Like,
So does the question mean that
like Aliens, Colonial Marines?
that you liked the demo, but you just the final release you didn't like? Or,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah,
Oh.
like a precipitous fall from.
I like that. I like the
Okay.
the Alien
Quality.
Colonial Marines answer. It's pretty good.
I mean, nobody played it.
Yeah, and I thought the
But,
demo sucked when I saw it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, Brad, prescient Brad.
I mean, I did. I mean, go back and watch it. It wasn't that impressive. I think people were just caught up in Aliens hype.
Well, that's true. People do.
It was
get
just like
caught
this
up in
very
that.
scripted thing, and it seemed lame. I was there. I went to the behind closed doors thing.
Okay, we'll just go with your answer then.
No, but that's not even the spirit of the question.
Octopath Traveler.
I do think a lot of people would say Metal Gear Solid 2. Like that's a good, honest answer because you were playing a snake first of all. Because
It did.
you
it
had
did not
there was
give
more
away the
detail
huge twist
on that tanker than what you got
Yeah.
like later on in the game with
That's
some of
true.
that
Yeah.
some of the tech
But
and
that,
stuff.
but that game's still good.
You know,
Like it's a fun
is
game.
good.
even in the original Metal Gear Solid, did you know that when you're in the snow
Mm-hmm.
outside of
Yeah.
and they see the footprints and they follow you.
Mm-hmm.
That is literally the only time in the game that soldiers do and can even do that.
Follow
Correct.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's pretty nice. That's
But back
weird.
then, when you play that demo, you're like, "Oh my god, this game's out of its time. They follow your footprints."
Yeah.
In that one area.
In that one area.
Dude, I'm just trying to think of some demos I've played.
It's hard. It's weird to think about because we don't really
Crackdown?
get demos anymore.
What's a demo?
Crackdown's a good one because that's
But
just
I
the same
like
shit over and over.
Crackdown.
We still
so
play
that's
demos.
But it's
a
the
bad
same
one.
shit over and over again.
That's fine.
Crack.
I mean, I played a lot of demos back in the PlayStation PS2 era.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I think pretty much this week all of the questions really needed to be pre-screened.
Final Fantasy 15, I hated the demo though. In fact, I preferred the final release to the demo. In fact, I think if people didn't bitch about that demo, they wouldn't have made the changes they did to make the final version actually better, in terms of combat at least.
Oh, whoa.
Demo that we liked more than the final release. Good question.
That
Hard
was a
to
good
answer.
question. Yeah, it's one of those things where
That's
it's
fine.
just
We
like,
don't have to spend a bunch of time.
no,
answering
we
every
do,
question.
Nick.
Oh.
We have to.
We appreciate
Until
the
we come
questions.
up with 10 answers, we're just gonna
We're
sit
at-
here.
We're at 4 or 5.
We're gonna sit here until we get it, Nick.
It's been so long since demos fucking like existed.
Demos. There was. I
Hey.
could name you 10 demos in the past month.
Hey,
Demos still a thing?
not just that, but like, I mean, he's kind of right in a sense that like one of the greatest things about the last generation was not long ago the 360 was
Yeah.
that everything had a demo,
fucking
and I
demo.
was so surprised. I got a Connect recently, right? And I this was before I had a bunch of games because I just got it was like half off at Half Price Books or whatever, so I bought it. And I got home and I was like, well, got to get some games. Let me look on the store.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the Kinect games just had demos. And I just downloaded demos for everything.
That's true.
And you can't do that anymore.
No.
They enforced it. Xbox Live indie games, even those had
Yeah.
demos.
Demos.
Like so many of the videos and clips were for me playing Xbox Live indie
Well,
games.
those were just the full game. You just were
10
time
minutes
limited.
of it,
Yeah, 10 minutes to
And
play
it
the
became
game.
like a thing
Like a
about
race.
speed running
Yeah, it's
games. I finished Xbox Live indie games in that 10 minutes. Like some of the stupider ones. Yeah, man. I missed that.
What
demos.
about that Dead Rising, the recent Dead Rising, with the Christmas
The
one?
original Dead Rising
Yeah.
demo? I didn't
that.
like the final Dead Rising really all
That's
that much.
true. That's
But
good.
that demo was amazing.
True.
Yeah, these are tough questions. I can't think of any.
All right, let's move on.
Yep.
Thank
To
you,
what?
everyone, for asking questions. If you'd like to support us, you can ask us questions every week on Patreon, patreon.com/4player. If you support us at the $1 tier or higher, you can ask us questions every week. You get 24-hour early access to every episode of the show. And if you support us up to $15, you get a free mug. Or not free, you're supporting us. But you get a sweet
No, it's a
4-player
free mug.
Yeah, it's free. You get a mug from us. So
What are you doing, Nick?
sorry, I didn't. It's getting late, guys. My words are starting to not make sense. Anyways, if you're interested in supporting us, you can find all that information over at 4playernetwork.com or patreon.com/4player. Check it out. Let's wrap up the show. You ready?
Yes. What is the 4-player minute, Nick?
Hype, sweat, thank
Wait,
you.
is this
fuck you
like
the week.
modern?
My hype is for
Yes.
yet another dope game that just got an August release date. Granted, it is at the very end of August. The Messenger. I think The Messenger looks amazing. It's like Shovel Knight, but Ninja Gaiden, and it's fucking awesome looking. I can't wait to play it.
Oh.
And my sweat, I'm gonna give it to Dragon Quest XI. Not because I think that game is necessarily going to be bad, but because I've never been like this huge. I've always respected Dragon Quest, but I've not actually really loved Dragon Quest. I didn't even love Dragon Quest 8, and everyone loves that one. And I hear that even though like early footage of this game like looked really like amazing and open and stuff, is actually from what I am hearing, because it's been out in Japan for a long time, it's a very traditional Dragon Quest game. You know, it's not really going to move the needle much in terms of like the stuff that this game is doing. But I'm probably going to try it because it's really pretty and all that. My thank you, I'm going to give it to Doom 2. By the way, this is the 4-player minute from the future.
Yes.
Um,
Doom Eternal?
Doom 2 Eternal. Yeah, Doom Eternal. Is that what? Is
Yeah.
it Doom 2 Eternal?
No, it's Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal, but it is Doom 2. Like they zoom in on the logo as it feels like 2. Whatever. The sequel to the last Doom, Doom Eternal. I want to thank them for the grappling hook.
Yes, that looks cool.
Because, man, I will never not use that weapon. Unless I'm in, like, a fucking corridor, I guess, and, you know, grappling is not
I feel
that
like it's
cool.
gonna be hard. You're gonna be hard pressed to not use other weapons because all the weapons in that game, if I remember correctly, were pretty fun to use.
I thank them for wowing me because I was convinced that, like, I would probably enjoy another Doom, but I thought I was going to see this and it was just going to be more Doom. But this legitimately kind of wowed me, and I'm super excited for Doom Eternal.
Nice.
So, thank you for grappling hooks. And my fuck you is, of course, going to this Philip Mewson guy. He just seems like a piece of shit. Fuck you. You're a con artist. Of course, you know that. You've been doing it your whole life. Yeah, good luck. I'm sure he's going to have plenty of success in life because most people like him will manage to find success. They're survivors. But still, fuck you anyways.
Yep. Thank you, Brad.
Cool.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Nolan?
My 4-player minute starts now. My hype is for more Fallout 2. Like literally the past couple of days, I've just started gelling with that game, and I'm feeling it and having a lot of fun with it. My sweat is going to go to Graveyard Keeper, indie game developed by the same guys who did Punch Club. Mm-hmm. It's fun, but fucking tedious. It's kind of like Stardew Valley. And there's a lot of cool like concepts behind it and stuff, but it's just like constant, like just like you need energy to do everything, and it's just like it's like just a constant like what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's a very tedious game.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you said about Punch Club?
Yes.
Okay.
But this one has some better aspects to it. My thank you goes to Chasm. I was kind of worried about that game because I kept hearing really mediocre things and some people not enjoying it as much.
People are stupid.
It's just Carlos.
But I've really been enjoying my time with it. It's really like scratching that itch of like that kind of Metroidvania thing. And I do like that it's seed based and it's kind of random, so it's like everything's kind of unique. So we're kind of having similar but slightly varying experiences.
Yeah. I've definitely had some randomly designed like fuck yous.
Yeah.
Like between like save points.
Yeah.
Like this stretch is like very
Pretty
mean.
long, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure no one else had one this mean.
And then my fuck you is gonna go to myself for Fallout 2. I keep just doing dumb shit in that game, like accidentally selling like things I really don't need to be selling, or like doing stupid like, oh, let me travel to this into the map and like, oh fuck, I now got to go back to the other end and stuff like that. Just doing silly stuff, but I'm still enjoying it. But yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
Also, fuck you to the spider and the keep in Chasm.
Dude, those spiders are the fucking
They're
worst.
the worst. Just run past
They are the
them.
worst.
Just
haven't
Dude,
seen
there
them
was a
yet.
room that I was
They
You know
web
what
you.
the-
They
you know the
freeze
ones
you
at
in
the
place.
No, there's ones on the ceiling that come down and like try
They
to
shoot
wrap
a
you
web
in
at
web.
you. They
Yeah.
shoot a
And-
web at you.
And they're fast, and like there was one corridor I was in that had like 4 of them, and they were all on me at the same time.
Just
and there was
run.
one of those giant knights with like a fucking pull. Like, oh my god, oh my god, fuck you.
All right, Krispy, you're up.
Yeah, fuck those spiders. My hype for this week is for Donut County.
Oh,
yeah.
wait,
Is
does that come
soon?
out?
That's 28th of this month.
Fuck me,
Yeah.
dude! I'm so excited
Which-
for that game.
August,
looks
the
really-
greatest month of the year.
Yeah. Which has Sungwon, what's his last name? I don't remember. ProZD, the guy from
Didn't someone rip off
He's
Donut
doing-
County
he's
on
doing-
mobile?
I don't know. Did they? I haven't heard about
I
that.
heard someone like ripped it off like Threes. Remember when Threes got ripped off?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that other the rip off was like super successful. I heard someone ripped that off and it's like really successful.
Oh my god,
Really?
I hadn't heard about that.
So the
That's
Googles.
fucking horrible. But yeah, that game looks interesting. I'm excited. It could be.
I am too.
It could be. Could be a nice little diversion from all these other like fucking brutal platforming action RPGs. My sweat is for Death's Gambit because I really want.
Because nobody knows if that game's any good.
Because I really want that to be good, and like everybody is just like, yeah, I'm playing it, but it sucks. like that's kind of just what I'm getting from every review that I'm seeing online, and like everybody's talking about it on Twitter and stuff. It seems rough. It seems like a game that's maybe trying to skate by on aesthetics and like surface detail more so than having anything interesting to say or interesting to show
Well,
you.
I'm still interested in playing it for sure.
So yeah, I mean, I might. I don't know.
Hold
If
on.
somebody makes a convincing case for it being worth $20, then I might try to squeeze it in. But otherwise,
Well, I'll play it and let you know because I have it.
It's just getting too crazy. Yeah. Well, okay. We'll see. We'll see what you think, Nick. Especially now that you're all up to date on Dark Souls.
I am.
Because apparently, like Jaeger was saying, that this is a
whereas
fucking
it's Dark Souls,
rip-off.
yeah.
Like, not even an influence. It's just
Yeah, but like Salt and Sanctuary was like shameless
sure, but like
and amazing.
They're making it
Salt and Sanctuary was shameless on its like surface level devotion, but like it had interesting mechanics and gameplay to it. You know?
They're saying like this has like lore shit that's just like straight up Dark Souls.
Yeah, and like the actual like pacing and layout of the game is.
Well, you know what? I
is
love me some
all
Dark
kinda
Souls,
fucky,
so-
but like, yeah, he was saying wasn't he saying in Discord today something about like the fucking bells like from the beginning of Dark Souls? Like you literally, that's the first thing you're doing is ringing the upper bell and the
Ringing the
lower
bells.
bell.
At the
to go-
beginning of the month, this is the one I
Like-
said like had the most potential to impress or like disappoint.
Yeah.
Apparently, we don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I guess we'll see. Let's see. My thank you for this week goes to Chris Davis for switching broadcast days with me, so that I could play D&D. I appreciate that, Chris. And
I knew it was D&D.
hey, it's always.
I
D&D.
bet like he doesn't even like he quit his job. He doesn't go to school. I bet all he does is like run D&D campaigns
You-
for money.
are not entirely wrong. My fuck you for this week goes to some random commenter I saw on YouTube. I was watching the trailer for that what's the Ninja Gaiden one?
The Messenger.
The Messenger. I was watching the trailer for that, and it was the one that so it's on the Devolver Digital YouTube page, and I was reading through the comments, and one of the people there was just like really excited about it, was like, "Oh, this looks great. This is awesome. I love you guys, Devolver. Like you guys are so underrated." It's just like, okay, maybe not fuck that guy, but like, get a fucking clue, dude. Come on. Get a fucking clue. Devolver Digital's underrated. Okay.
They're not huge.
Okay. Yeah. Because nobody ever talks about Devolver Digital.
Hey, Devolver Digital had their own E3 press conference.
Hey. Yeah, and I didn't hear anything about that.
Oh my goodness. Thank you,
I
Chris.
do like weirdly. Never mind. Go ahead.
My 4-player minute starts now. My hype is also Chasm. I ended up playing a bunch of that on Monday, and I have not had a chance to play it again since then because I had a stream and stuff going on during the week, and now we're doing a podcast. But I am itching to play more, and I'm gonna try and just plow through the rest of that game probably before the end of the weekend, if at all possible.
I'm getting close. But
That game.
I've been spending a lot of time grinding out special gear and stuff.
That game is fucking cool, and I'm looking forward to us. I would like to record a bonus podcast sometime in the next couple days, where we talk about Chasm, because I think there's a lot to say about that game, and I think maybe it is getting a little, glanced over by a lot of places.
That's an understatement.
yeah,
I worry
so-
about the developer.
My sweat goes to Gamescom, mostly because they've confirmed Devil May Cry 5 playable trailer is coming. We're gonna see what that game looks, and we're gonna hear some impressions from it. And who knows? I don't know. I'm interested in it because the trailer looked cool, but like at the same time, there were some things about that I didn't think. I don't know. I was kind of on the fence about it, but I'm definitely gonna play it. But I'm just nervous because the last time we got a new Devil May Cry game, it was kind of a clusterfuck when they showed gameplay for the first time. Kind of and I know we're not going to have the same situation here necessarily because obviously it's not Ninja Theory this time, so people can stop freaking the fuck out. But it's a very rabid fan base, and I just want to see what the game is, and I hope people like it, and I hope people can get excited about Devil May Cry 5 again. My thank you of the week goes to
Hey, honey, need assistance?
What?
Oh yeah. My thank you of the week goes to Kenton. I went this week, so I canceled my pre-order for Dead Cells on the Switch because apparently it's having some frame rate issues. And I went on Steam with the intention of maybe buying it on Steam. And I looked at it and I went to go buy it and it said I already own the game. I was like, what the fuck? I haven't bought this game. looked at my Steam library. It said this game was gifted to you by Kenton in December of 2017. I completely forgot he gave this game to me. I'm really glad I canceled my Switch pre-order in that case. I did thank Kenton, I think, back when he gifted it to me, but I had completely forgotten about it because I was going to wait until it was out of early access. And now here I am. I have a full copy of Dead Cells waiting for me to play it, and I'm very, very excited. So thank you, Kenton, for surprising me not once, but twice with the same gift.
I just remembered something.
What?
I'm supposed to play Turok 2 tomorrow. I don't own it. I was gonna. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
But let's not forget.
Yes. All right, and my fuck you of the week goes to
Philip Mewson.
Sure.
Mewson?
Fuck that guy.
Oh my
We'll do
god! Fuck that guy.
This guy stole Brad's. Were you one of the people that he plagiarized?
I mean, it's possible. Jesus, no, that's Rockstar.
Yeah, for sure.
That's brutal.
I really want to post that on Era or something, like the Scooter Brothers thing. You know,
Because see if you can spark an outrage.
what was it? I saw some posts. I was like Rockstar sent
Yeah, they've been sending,
a really nice package or something.
They've been sending streamers Red Dead Redemption 2 packages.
Yeah, and I was like,
man, fuck you.
And fuck those
Fuck
guys.
Rockstar for not
Fuck
sending us
those
a
guys.
package. Damn it.
Like, come on, they never even shot me an email, man.
This guy is in Grand Theft Auto 5.
They didn't fucking deign to.
But what if we found out that guy was just one of the writers was just a hack and he was just stealing stuff from wherever he could?
Is it Phil?
The dude in fucking L.A. Noire, he drives his car off a cliff and he yells at his partner, "Breathe, breathe." This wasn't the only time that fucking writer did this shit.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. We're never going to get it. Whatever. But fuck them. I'll go ahead and I will officially give my fuck of the week to Rockstar, even though I am also very, very excited for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Who's that writer?
I narrowed it down once, but I can't remember his name.
Anyways, that's our show, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you're watching us live, thank you very much for tuning in. A reminder, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we have recently switched hosts. We are now available on Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. iHeartRadio is coming down the pipe. SoundCloud should be back online here pretty soon. So, and I'm still adding more stuff. So we should be kind of, firing on all cylinders here pretty soon. We really appreciate you listening and subscribing to our show, no matter which platform you're using. If you enjoy the show, take a second to leave us a review on iTunes. We'd really appreciate that. And I hope you guys will join us all month long. We're just over halfway through August, so there's still another 15 days or so of 1998 month. We have more games to play, and like I said, don't forget next week's no podcast. Instead, we're going to be getting together on Thursday night for a open game night of sorts. We'll all be together in the room playing games for your guys' entertainment. Hopefully, you guys will join us then on 4pp.tv. So until then, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will catch you later. Good night.
Good night.